This video is sponsored by Brilliant. Welcome to this ChatGPT course for data analysis. In this course, we'll learn how to use ChatGPT to make our life easier as data analysts. You can take this course whether you're new to data analysis or even if you have plenty of experience as a data analyst. In this course, we'll see must-know ChatGPT features for data analysis, solve each step of a data analysis project using ChatGPT, automate tools like Excel, learn other AI tools we can use for data analysis, and more. But first, let's start understanding how LLMs like ChatGPT work, which is important to know if you want to get better responses using ChatGPT. In this video, we're going to learn how ChatGPT works, and this will help us understand much better the way ChatGPT works and also how this can help us when creating prompts or when working with ChatGPT. Alright, to understand how ChatGPT works, let's start with an example. Let's say we give ChatGPT the following prompt. Explain what is artificial intelligence in a few sentences. Here is ChatGPT's response to this prompt. Artificial intelligence refers to the simulation of human-like intelligence processed by computer systems. It involves creating algorithms and models that enable machines to perform tasks that typically require human intelligence, such as problem-solving, decision-making, learning from data, language understanding, and perception. After getting the response, we may ask ourselves, how can ChatGPT generate the response? One of the things ChatGPT does to generate this response is word prediction. ChatGPT predicts what words and sentences are likely to be associated with the input given and then chooses those words and sentences most likely to be associated with the input. ChatGPT also randomizes some outputs so that the answers for the same input might be different. You can try asking the same question I asked about artificial intelligence to ChatGPT, but you will probably get a different answer. All this word prediction is based on its training data. ChatGPT was trained on a huge dataset collected from the internet. This means that every time it generates text, it predicts what words will most likely be expected after having learned how input compares to words written on the million of pages it was trained on. However, word or sentence prediction isn't the only thing behind the scenes. There is more. After all, ChatGPT doesn't only complete your sentences, but has the ability to respond in a conversational way. This is due to the way it was trained. And here are the 3 steps which OpenAI followed to train ChatGPT. Alright, let's start with the first step. And the first step is collecting data and training a supervised policy. In this first step, 40 contractors were hired to play the role of users and chatbots. Each training was a conversation where the human contractors acted as both the user and chatbot. The purpose of this was to train the model to have human-like conversations. This training data will be fed into the model so that the model learns to maximize the probability of choosing the correct sequence of words and sentences in a conversation. This is why chatting with ChatGPT looks more like chatting with another person rather than working with a tool that completes your sentences. So in summary, in step 1, a prompt is sampled from the prompt dataset, then a human labeler demonstrates the desired output behavior, and this data is used to fine-tune GPT-3 with supervised learning. Alright, now the next step, step 2, is about training a reward model. In this second step, the output of step 1 is fine-tuned using a reward model. For this, a prompt and some outputs are sampled and a human labeler will rank the output from best to worst. Say we have the prompt below and the 4 outputs. So our prompt is what's artificial intelligence? And the outputs is first, AI is the development of computer systems that can perform tasks requiring human-like intelligence, such as language understanding, pattern recognition, and decision-making through the use of algorithms and data analysis. That is a good answer. Then we have AI involves creating algorithms and models that enable machines to simulate human cognitive functions like learning, reasoning, and problem solving, enabling them to perform complex tasks autonomously. That answer is not bad. Then we have C. AI is a futuristic concept where computers gain consciousness and emotions, allowing them to surpass human abilities and take over the world. Well, that doesn't make complete sense. And then we have D. AI is a mystical blend of computer code and unicorn tears that grants machines the ability to predict lottery numbers and interpret dreams. Well, that one doesn't make any sense. So as we can see, if we rank this from best to worst, we'll have first A on top as the best answer, then B, then C, and then D. And D will be the worst answer. And well, if a human labeler ranks the output from best to worst, as I said, they will be ranked as A greater than B, greater than C, greater than D. This data will be fed to the model so that ChatGPT can learn to evaluate what the best output is likely to be. That's how OpenAI trained its reward model. Now, it's impossible for the humans constructors to rank all the outputs of all the possible prompts a user can come up with. So, how can ChatGPT is able to answer almost all the queries that we give it? That leads us to the next step. And this is step 3 and is reinforcement learning. To scale the human taught training data to a much bigger dataset, reinforcement learning was used. This is a type of unsupervised learning which consists of training the model where no output is associated with any given input. Instead, the model will learn the patterns in the input data based on the human taught pre-trained data. So the data that was trained in step 2. In this case, the pre-trained data will be the human taught ranking system. This system is used as the foundation for the unsupervised training stage. Thanks to this, the model only needs to process a huge dataset from various sources to learn patterns from text and sentences of a countless number of subjects. So that's how they scale the human-taught training data in step 2 to a much bigger dataset using reinforcement learning. And that's how we can get answers for almost any prompt we give to ChatGPT. Alright, now we have a basic understanding of how ChatGPT works, and this will help us when creating prompts later in this course. If you want to know more about how LLMs like ChatGPT work, an app I recommend you to use is Brilliant.org, which is the sponsor of this video. Brilliant is where you learn by doing, with thousands of interactive lessons in math, data analysis, programming, and AI. Over the past few months, I've been using Brilliant to stay sharp with my coding skills and learn new things about LLMs. I dedicate some minutes per day to learning a new lesson using Brilliant, and it's fun because their interactive exercises are like playing a video game. For example, here you have to move the vehicle around the perimeter of the square to collect all the coins. To solve this exercise, I used the for loop concept to move the vehicle forward and right multiple times. In my experience, solving exercises like this takes just a few minutes per day, but it has a positive impact on your professional growth. And something cool Brilliant has is a section dedicated to LLMs, where you learn how LLMs build vocabulary and choose their next word, how to tune an LLM, and understand concepts such as bigrams, creativity, and temperature, which came in handy for me when using the OpenAI Playground. To try everything Brilliant has to offer for free for a full 30 days, visit brilliant.org/thepiecoach or click on the link in the description. You'll also get 20% off an annual premium subscription. Thanks to Brilliant for sponsoring this video, and now let's go back to the video. Alright, in this video, I'm going to show you the different types of prompts that we can use with ChatGPT. And first, a prompt is just a set of instructions that tells the large language model, in this case ChatGPT, what to do. So basically, we tell ChatGPT what to do with a prompt. And in this video, we're going to see the different basic type of prompts that we can use on ChatGPT. This is going to be just the simplest prompt that you can come up with. Later in this course, we're going to learn something called prompt engineering, which help us create better prompts. Those are basically the best practices to create better prompts in order to generate better responses. Alright, now let's start with this video and let's see the first prompt that we can use on ChatGPT. And this is the first prompt. The first prompt has like the structure of a question, and it's something similar that we will use on Google, but in this case we're using this on ChatGPT. And this first example is this one. What are 5 key points I should know when studying the Inca Empire? So we can also use this prompt on Google, and if you use this on Google, you're gonna get different search results. Basically, you're gonna get like results to go to some website, and you have to find the information you were looking for. And the difference with ChatGPT is that ChatGPT gives you like just the answer you were looking for, just like the summary, just like the points that you were looking for. In this case, these 5 key points. So if I press enter, we're not gonna get ads, we're not gonna get a bunch of text that is not related to the question we asked, but we're only getting the 5 key points we were asking for. And that's something cool about ChatGPT. It goes straight to the point. So here we can see the 5 points that we asked for. And well, here, in case you're not satisfied with this answer, let's imagine that you are studying the history and you were looking for other 5 key points. What you can do is click on this button that says regenerate, and with this you're gonna get another answer, like a different answer from the previous one, and that gives you like increases the points that you were asking. So in this case, let's say in the previous response you only found like 3 of the points given useful, and if you want more points you can get it from that second response. So that's basically how this first type of prompt works. You basically just give a question and then you get an answer. And that's it for the first prompt. Now let's see what the second type of prompt we can use on ChatGPT. In this case, instead of asking a question, we use ChatGPT as something like a tutor or instructor who gives feedbacks to something that we give. So for example, let's imagine we're studying Spanish and we want to correct some phrases that we have. So we want some feedback. And if we go to Google and for example, we copy and paste this first sentence, probably we're not going to get the correction for this phrase. We're going to, maybe if we're lucky, somebody else asked that question in some other website and we get the correction for that specific phrase, or we might get a correction for a similar phrase, but we should be lucky to get to have that same phrase corrected on Google. But on ChatGPT we can get feedback for any phrase that we have, in this case any phrase in Spanish. So if I press enter, if I click here, we get feedback for the specific sentences that we gave. So in this case, we're getting the correction, why these sentences are wrong in Spanish, and also an explanation. And that's something great because sometimes on Google, we only get like a generic answer. So based on the grammar mistakes that we made, but here is very specific. He's telling us in which part of the phrase we made that mistake. And that's something very cool if you're a self-learner. All right, that's the second type of prompt. It's basically asking for feedback. And now let's move on to the third type of prompt. And this one consists in giving some information to ChatGPT and giving instructions to ChatGPT to work with this information that we give. For example, here the other day I got an email from a client, and basically in the email what it said was this that I'm highlighting right now. So the client wanted to talk about some sponsorship, and the client wanted to set up a meeting, and this meeting was supposed to be 30 minutes. And I wanted ChatGPT to answer to this email. So what I did was just copy the email. So this is the email. And then I gave instructions to ChatGPT on how to answer this email based on my requirements. So first I said this: politely accept the offer in this email. And this gives ChatGPT the writing style. So I'm telling ChatGPT that the tone should be polite. Then I'm giving details about the answer. So I wrote, say we can talk next Friday at 8 p.m., but only for 15 minutes. So this is something very cool because we're telling ChatGPT the specific requirements for this email. So this is not going to be a generic email, but it has some customizations based on our requirements. All right, now if I press enter, we're gonna generate this email. And as you can see, we have some placeholders. Here I can write the name of the client. And also here we have the email that we asked for. And as you can see here, it's mentioning the fact that I can talk on Friday at 8 p.m., but only for 15 minutes. And well, here I can write also my name, my title, and my contact information. So this type of prompt, basically, we provide some information, and based on that information, we tell ChatGPT what to do with that data. In this case, answer an email, but it can be a different type of task. It can be just summarize this email or extract this data from this email or whatever you want. All right, now let's move on to the next prompt. And this one is very popular and consists in giving a task to ChatGPT, but a writing task. So let's say you have to write an essay or an article, and you can use ChatGPT for that. For example, here I say, write a 500-word article on this topic. 5 ways AI can boost your writing skills. So instead of just you starting from a blank page, you can use ChatGPT to have some ideas. So if I press enter, we're gonna generate the article for this topic, and that's something that can help you get started with this article. And that's the goal of this prompt, to generate articles, posts, or essays using ChatGPT. And well, you see here the results. We see here the article that ChatGPT created. All right, now let's move on with the last type of prompt that we can create. And actually, these are not the only types of prompts that you can create. There are endless types of prompts, but these are the most basic. And well, here I want to show you that ChatGPT cannot only create text, cannot only generate text, but also code. For example, here, let's say we want to send an email with this subject and with the content that is here. So this is going to be the content of the email, but this is not a regular email. We want to create the code to send this email with Python. So now you might be wondering, why should I make ChatGPT generate the code to send this email with Python if I can simply do it manually on my own? So here the purpose of this is to create a code that help us automate this email later. For example, imagine that we want to send this email to 100 people every day in the morning at 8 a.m. So we can do that with a code, with a script, if we create that script in Python, for example. And instead of creating this script on my own, I'm letting ChatGPT generate all of this. So now I press enter, and now we generate this script with Python. So as you can see, now I have the code, and once the code is generated, I can copy the code and paste it on my code editor, and there I can run the code to have this automation. And that's the last type of prompt that we can create on ChatGPT. But as I said before, there are different types of prompts that we can use with ChatGPT. In fact, in this course, you can download a cheat sheet that I made, and there you can find all the types of prompts that you can use on ChatGPT. These are only the basic prompts, and the purpose of this course is not to memorize a prompt, but to be able to create your own prompt. So in the next section, we're going to learn something called prompt engineering, and I strongly recommend you to watch that section, because in all the videos that are going to be in that section, we're going to see how to create better prompts. So you don't have to copy and paste the prompts that were created by other people, but you can create the best prompts for you, following the best practice in prompt engineering. Alright, in this video, we're going to compare ChatGPT with ChatGPT Plus, which is a monthly subscription that ChatGPT has that offers you different premium features that you can use, and we're going to use also in this course. Alright, so first, to see what ChatGPT Plus offers, we have to go here to GPT-4, and if you don't have a ChatGPT Plus subscription, you're going to see this log, and you can upgrade to ChatGPT Plus by clicking on this button. So if you click here, you're gonna see all the options that ChatGPT Plus offers. So for example, ChatGPT Plus offers GPT-4, which is a much better version than GPT 3.5. And GPT-4 has a better reasoning and creativity. And if you use the prompts that we're going to use in this course, you're going to see a different performance if you use those prompts with GPT 3.5. Sometimes you're going to get the same responses, or the responses are not going to be the same quality as you will find with GPT-4. So you might see a different performance or a decrease in performance if you use the prompts that we're going to use in this course with GPT 3.5. So that's why I strongly recommend you to subscribe to ChatGPT Plus to have access to GPT-4. Alright, another thing that you get with ChatGPT Plus is a faster response speed, which is faster than the free version of ChatGPT. I don't think this is completely true. I ran some tests and I found that GPT 3.5 is faster than GPT-4. But well, that depends maybe on the type of use that you give, but in general, GPT 3.5 is faster. And I think it's faster because GPT-4 has to use more resources when it tries to give you a response. Because remember, its reasoning and creativity are way much better than GPT 3.5, and that explains why probably it's a bit slower than GPT 3.5. So I don't think GPT-4 has faster responses, but well, that's what OpenAI says. Alright, and the last thing that ChatGPT Plus offers, the last premium feature, is plugins and code interpreter. And that's the reason why I'm a ChatGPT Plus subscriber. Plugins and code interpreter unlock a different kind of things that you can use with ChatGPT. And we're gonna see this a bit later in this course. All right, now I'm gonna show you here. Here I'm gonna close this, and then we're gonna compare and we're gonna do some tests between GPT 3.5 and GPT-4. But before, I'm gonna show you what we can do with GPT-4. So here on the right, I have GPT-4 because I'm a ChatGPT Plus subscriber. And first, I'm gonna show you what GPT-4 and ChatGPT Plus offers. So first, we can use GPT-4. As I mentioned before, there is no more log icon here. We can use GPT-4, and inside GPT-4 we have code interpreter and plugins. And first, I'm going to show you plugins. So if I click here on plugins, we're going to see that message that says no plugins enabled. And if we click here, we're going to see a list of plugins that I installed previously. But if you scroll down, you can go to the plugin store, and in the plugin store you can find a big number of plugins that you can install, and those plugins are going to be added to ChatGPT. And plugins are so important in ChatGPT because they add a series of functionality that you don't get by default with ChatGPT. We're going to see a list of the best plugins in the plugin store later in this course, but just to give you an idea, for example, there is a plugin that can summarize YouTube videos. So for example, let's say that you're going to watch a 10-minute YouTube video. Instead of watching the video, or before watching it, you can use that plugin to summarize the complete video in just 100 words or 200 words. So you have a good idea of what the video is about, and you can decide whether that video is worth watching for you. And well, that's just one of the best plugins that are in the plugin store. And as I mentioned before, you can navigate through the plugin store and install any plugin that you want. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of plugins in the plugin store. And well, that's one of the reasons why I use ChatGPT Plus. So I'm gonna close this one, and now let's see Code Interpreter. And I'm gonna click on Code Interpreter, and now I turn on Code Interpreter. And after clicking on Code Interpreter, probably you see here on the bottom that on this chat box, now there's a new button, and it's this plus button that allows me to upload a new file. So if I click here, I'll be able to upload a CSV file, a PDF, or any other type of file. And this is very important because, for example, if you're a data analyst or a data scientist and you want to work with a data set, you can upload your data, your CSV file here. Just clicking here and selecting your CSV file. And you can start working and doing data analysis with your file. And even if you're not a data analyst, if you have any other type of job, you can still benefit from this code interpreter. For example, you can upload a PDF file and extract the text from the PDF, or you can upload a PNG file or a JPEG and extract the text from that image. And you can do different types of tasks with the code interpreter. You only have to upload the file and then just start working with that file. And by the way, if you're a programmer, you can also upload your script and then debug your code or add different functionalities to the script that you created on your own. And that's very cool. We're going to see also the code interpreter in much more detail later in this course. There is a section just dedicated to the code interpreter. And well, that's it for the premium features that we have with ChatGPT Plus. Now I'm going to do a quick comparison between GPT 3.5 and GPT-4 to see the performance of the free version of ChatGPT and ChatGPT Plus. So I'm going to put this on the right, and well, I have the free version of ChatGPT on the left and the paid version on the right. And now we're going to test some prompts to see how quick how fast both versions are. So here I'm going to paste this prompt, and basically what this prompt does, or what this prompt is asking ChatGPT to do, is to simulate a job interview, and ChatGPT is supposed to generate 1000 words. So 1000 words for each version to have a fair comparison. So I'm going to press enter in both versions, first on the free version and then on the paid version, and we're going to see how much it takes. Alright, now GPT-4 just finished generating the text, and we've seen how fast GPT 3.5 is compared to GPT-4. And the reason for that is because GPT-4 has to use more resources when generating all this text. So remember that the reasoning and creativity of GPT-4 is way higher than GPT 3.5. So that's the reason why GPT 3.5 is faster than GPT-4 and way faster. And well, we can verify that it's not so true that GPT-4 is faster, that has speed responses as we've seen before, because GPT 3.5 is way faster. And well, now just to keep comparing, we're gonna just do a last test, but now with code. So here I'm gonna paste the following prompt, and we've seen this prompt before. And well, this prompt basically asks ChatGPT to generate Python code to send an email. And well, we're gonna do a last test, and I'm gonna run both prompts. Alright, now we verify again that GPT 3.5 is way faster than GPT-4. And now you might be wondering, why should I subscribe to ChatGPT Plus if GPT 3.5 is way faster than GPT-4? Well, the main reason, besides the premium features that we've seen before, is that GPT-4 gives high quality responses, and the quality of the responses are much better than GPT 3.5. And this is in code generation, in text generation, and in anything you can imagine. GPT-4 is much better than GPT 3.5. And if you test the prompts that we're going to use in this course, you're going to see a different performance if you use GPT 3.5 or GPT-4, even if it's the same prompt. And well, that's why I strongly recommend you to subscribe to ChatGPT Plus to have a better experience while taking this course. Alright, in this video, we're gonna see what are custom instructions and why we should enable this when working with ChatGPT. Alright, custom instructions is a feature that makes ChatGPT more powerful by incorporating some of our preferences that we wish ChatGPT to take into account every time it generates responses. So with these custom instructions, ChatGPT is going to know a little bit about ourselves and we're gonna get a much better response because this response is gonna be customized a bit more to our preferences. And to enable this, we have to go here to the sidebar. We open this, then we go to the three dots and we click on custom instructions. And by the way, these are available to everybody. And now that we are in custom instructions, we have to answer two questions. And the first question is, what would you like ChatGPT to know about you to provide better responses? So you have to tell ChatGPT some things about yourself. And here, OpenAI gives you some thought starters like where are you based, what do you do for work, what are your hobbies and interests, what subjects can you talk about for hours, and some of your goals. And well, you don't need to answer all of these questions, but only the ones that you think are important. And for this example, I'm going to type the following. I work on science education programs for third grade students. So with this, ChatGPT will know that my audience are third grade students and that I'm some kind of science teacher. And now let's go to the second question. And this is, how would you like ChatGPT to respond? And well, in this case, this helps ChatGPT to customize the formality of the response and how long the response should be and how we want to be addressed and more things. And something cool that you can include here is the format that you want ChatGPT to follow every time that you have some types of questions. So in this case, I'm gonna give you this example, which is when discussing potential solutions for work-related items, present the information in a table format. So this is the format that I want to have every time I'm talking about some work-related items. And well, I work in a science education program, and every time I have questions about this, then I should get my responses in a table format. Then I said outlining the pros and cons of each option, allowing for easier comparison and decision making. So basically, I'm saying every time I have a question about science, give me the pros and cons and put all the information in a table so I can easily compare the pros and cons. And that's it. So now, finally, you can enable this for new chats or you cannot enable this for new chats. Well, in this case, I want to enable this for every new chat that I have. So I enable this and then I click on save. And now I'm going to hide this sidebar and now let's do a test. So here I'm going to ask ChatGPT, what will be three important things to teach about the Big Bang Theory? So here, if I ask this, now we by default are getting a table and we're getting the pros and the cons in this table. So we didn't indicate ChatGPT in our prompt to create a table or to mention the pros and cons. But since we indicated that in the custom instructions settings, now in every new chat that we have, when we ask work-related items, ChatGPT is going to give us the pros and cons and we're going to get all of this in a table. And if you want to take this to the next level, you can combine these custom instructions with the output template that we learned in the previous videos. So every time that you have a question, ChatGPT is going to respond to your questions following a specific output template. And as you can see, custom instructions is a very powerful tool that everybody should use to make the most out of ChatGPT. So I'm going to give you another example here in custom instructions and I'm going to delete the previous examples. And well, here what I'm going to do is, for example, write about my work. So here I can answer in the first question that I'm a data scientist and that I use mainly Python, for example. I solely use Python. And for the second answer, I can tell ChatGPT that I don't like to get explanations every time that it provides a script. I only want the code. So I can tell this. When I ask you for code, just give me the code without any explanation on how it works. And after I save this, every time that I ask ChatGPT to generate a script, is going to use Python as the default programming language, and also it's not going to explain how the code works. And that's it. Now is your time to enable custom instructions and answer these two questions to get customized responses when using ChatGPT. Alright, in this video, we're going to see what's the code interpreter, how it works, and some simple use cases. Alright, first, the ChatGPT code interpreter is just a plugin that allows ChatGPT to write code in an isolated environment with some disk space. And now you might be wondering, why do we need the code interpreter for that if ChatGPT is able to generate code? Well, without the code interpreter, you'll need to have a programming language installed on your computer, and then you'll have to copy the code generated by ChatGPT to your code editor, and well, then you have to, for example, write the code on your computer, debug the code yourself, and well, or ask ChatGPT to debug the code after copying and pasting the error. And when we work with the ChatGPT code interpreter, we don't have to do all of that because ChatGPT uses a programming language, in this case Python, to do all of this in some computers that are managed by OpenAI. So this code is not going to be run on our own computer, but in some computers that are in the cloud. And well, that's how it works. And I have to say that the code interpreter is one of the most powerful tools that we have inside ChatGPT, but some people get it wrong to the things that you can do with the code interpreter and the things that you cannot do with the code interpreter. So let's see what the code interpreter offers and what it doesn't offer. So here, first, the code interpreter is able to generate code and to execute the code on ChatGPT, but only is able to generate Python code. At the moment I'm recording this video, the code interpreter only generates Python code and only executes Python code. And one disadvantage of the code interpreter is that only has some pre-installed packages. So for example, if your task that you want to solve requires some packages that are not available in the code interpreter, then you won't be able to solve your task. So there are a number of pre-installed packages available on the code interpreter. But Python has a big number of packages, but not all the packages are going to be available on the code interpreter. So that's one of the disadvantages that the code interpreter has. But that said, the code interpreter still has a good number of packages, and so far I rarely have problems finding the packages that I want to work with. And now let's continue. And this is by far my favorite feature that the code interpreter has. And this is the fact that it supports file uploads and downloads. So with the code interpreter, you can upload files like TXT files, JPEG, CSV files, and you can work with those files to transform your data, for example, or to edit the image that you have, or to extract text from a PNG file. And that's a big advantage that Plus users have. Because, by the way, the code interpreter is only available to ChatGPT Plus subscribers. And if you have ChatGPT Plus, you're going to be able to upload any file and to download any file that, well, ChatGPT generates. And one of the disadvantages is that you don't have access, or ChatGPT doesn't have access to your hard drive. And well, that's good if you're concerned about privacy, but that's not so good if you want to have a directory and you want to manage all your files inside the ChatGPT code interpreter. This means that you have to upload file by file and then work in that way. And well, that's a big disadvantage that the ChatGPT code interpreter has. But all things considered, the ChatGPT code interpreter is definitely one of the most powerful tools that is inside ChatGPT. Alright, now let's continue and let's see some practical use cases of the ChatGPT code interpreter. First, we can work with files because the code interpreter allows us to upload different types of files like TXT, PDF, PNG files, CSV files, and so on. And for example, if you upload a TXT file, you're going to be able to work with the TXT file, and let's say you want to convert the file, the text that is inside the file, to uppercase or to lowercase, or just to count the frequency of some words, or to do some sentiment analysis, you can do that by uploading a TXT file. And also you can upload a PNG file and extract the text that is inside that image. And you can do plenty of other things. Then there is data analytics. So data scientists and data analysts can work with CSV files inside ChatGPT. And that's thanks to the code interpreter, because now we can upload datasets to ChatGPT, and then we can generate some reports, we can clean some data, we can make some visualizations, and then we can even export all the reports or the visualizations we make into a PDF. Because as you might remember, the code interpreter not only supports file uploads but also file downloads. So all the reports that the ChatGPT code interpreter generates can be downloaded. And finally, we have images. We can edit images by using the code interpreter. We only need to upload a PNG file or a JPEG, and then we can change the color scale or change the image radio, add a watermark or add text to the image. And we can even turn an image into a video by using the code interpreter. Alright, these are some simple use cases that we're going to see in detail in this course, but remember that there are plenty of possibilities with the ChatGPT code interpreter. Just keep in mind that everything that is possible to do with Python code is possible to do with the code interpreter, because it uses Python behind the scenes. So if you're a Python programmer, you might know the things that are possible to do with the ChatGPT code interpreter and that are not possible to do with the code interpreter. But if you're not a programmer, don't worry, because in this course, we're going to cover the most popular things that are possible to do with the code interpreter. And you don't need to know how to code to do such things. Alright, in this video, I'm going to show you how to work with the code interpreter. Alright, the first thing we have to do is to select GPT-4 and select Code Interpreter. And in case you don't have the Code Interpreter enabled and you're a ChatGPT Plus user, what you have to do is enable this in Settings. So we have to open the sidebar and then go to the three dots and then select Settings and Beta. Then we have to go to Beta Features and enable this Code Interpreter. So if you have this disabled, just enable Code Interpreter. And then close this window and we can go back to ChatGPT. Well, then you go to GPT-4 again and select Code Interpreter. And once we have this enabled, we're going to see this plus button, and well, this plus button is to upload a new file, and we're going to see how to work with this a bit later. So first, what I'm going to show you is how to work with the ChatGPT code interpreter. And as I explained you in the previous video, what the ChatGPT code interpreter does is generate code and then execute the code. So we give ChatGPT a task, and the way it's going to solve this task is by generating Python code and then executing that Python code. And to give you a good example of this, I'm going to ask ChatGPT to generate, let's say, 100 odd numbers. So I'm going to say generate 100 odd numbers. And by default, if you have code interpreter enabled, it's going to do this using Python code. So I'm going to press enter, and we're going to see how the ChatGPT code interpreter does this with Python code. So here I'm just going to zoom in a little bit, and here you see the 100 odd numbers. So here it says 135 until 199. And well, you can get the same output with ChatGPT, but ChatGPT code interpreter did all of this with Python code. And if we open here, we can see the Python code that the ChatGPT code interpreter used for generating the odd numbers. And as you can see, this is a simple code here. It uses list comprehension. Well, if you know Python, you know what I'm talking about. And this is a basic code, a for loop, and then list comprehension to generate these odd numbers. And of course, the ChatGPT code interpreter is able to do more complex things. For example, generating odd numbers is not so complicated, but what happens if now I want to generate prime numbers? So way to generate prime numbers is not as straightforward as generated odd numbers. So let's see what the ChatGPT code interpreter does. So as you can see now, it's creating a function called is_prime, and well, this function has different if statements, and then it's using a while loop to generate these prime numbers, and is storing the prime numbers in this list. And after doing this, it prints the 100 prime numbers. So as you can see, ChatGPT code interpreter is going to use Python code to solve our tasks. And this is very important because the limitation of the ChatGPT code interpreter is based on what Python can do. If Python and the Python packages that are pre-installed in the code interpreter are able to carry out your task, then you're going to be able to get your task solved. But if it's impossible to do your task with Python and with the packages that are installed by default in the code interpreter, then your task is not going to be solved. And well, ChatGPT code interpreter does a good job at trying to look at different options to get your problem solved. But if it's impossible to do with Python, then you won't be able to solve your task. Alright, the final tip is a very simple yet powerful feature that every ChatGPT Plus subscriber should use, and is the voice feature. The voice feature is a ChatGPT feature that is exclusive to the phone app, either in iOS or Android, and that it allows us to speak with ChatGPT. With this feature, you don't have to pick up your phone and text every time you want to interact with ChatGPT, but you can put on your earphones and speak with ChatGPT. And this is very useful when you want to discuss and explore topics as if you were chatting with a friend or with a professor. For example, you can chat about things like AI, data science, programming, data analysis, and more. And also you can use this feature to simulate a job interview, as if ChatGPT was the job recruiter. So don't forget to download the ChatGPT app and use the voice feature. In this video, I'm going to show you how to use ChatGPT for data science and data analysis. We're going to use this tool to do some tasks such as solving coding questions, translating Python code to R, creating queries, creating data visualization, text classification, and more. So let's get started. Okay, let's say that you're working with data and suddenly you have to join two data frames and you forget the function that you have to use to join two data frames in Pandas. So what you can do is write the following. You can write how to concatenate two data frames with Pandas, and you can be very specific and write how to concatenate two data frames vertically with Pandas. So you press enter and now you can get the answer immediately. Instead of going to Stack Overflow or just searching this on Google, you get the answer very fast. So here it says that we have to use the concat function. And now let's see if we see something about vertically, because we want to concatenate vertically. Okay, ChatGPT gave us an answer, and as you can see, it was very specific. Here, it mentioned the axis parameter that we have to add, and well, it set it to axis equal to 0 because we want to concatenate vertically. And also, it gave us an additional tip that is add the ignore index parameter in case we want to ignore the index in the output data frame, which is very cool. Okay, now we verified that this tool can help us solve some coding questions that we might have. Alright, something else that we do often is working with databases. We have to create queries and do many things to extract data from a database. So here you can also make ChatGPT create queries for you. So you can write something like this. Create a SQL query to find users who live in New York and are older than 30 years old. So if you press enter, you're gonna get the answer. And now you can see it says that here's an example of an SQL query, and well, it's a simple query as you can see here, and it was created by ChatGPT. Here we didn't give so much information, so it only assumes some generic tables here, for example the users tables, and also it assumes some columns, but we can give more details, so we can create a more complex query. For example, here I have the following request. So here it says, a query to list the name of the departments which employ more than 10 employees in the last 3 months, and consider the following SQL tables with their properties. So we have the employee table, the department table, and the salary payment table, and we have those columns within parentheses. So we press enter, and here we gave more details, and we're gonna get a more complex SQL query. So here is the query that is being created by ChatGPT. And as you can see here, ChatGPT not only gave us the right query, but also it's giving us some step-by-step explanation. So it's telling us how it's using the work clause, the group by clause, the having clause, and more. So it also gives us a lot of details on how it created this query. And that's very cool. Okay, now let's do something else. And now let's try to create a function in Python and then translate that function into another language. So here I have a Python function. This is a very simple function, and then we're gonna try with a more complex function. So here let's try out with this one. So let's print this function, and let's say translate this Python function to R. So usually some data scientists know only Python and they don't know R. First we have the get square function, and then we have this how to use this function. So I can copy this and I can test it out here on R. So if I run this, but first I need to use this one to run the result. So here is the function translated, and then here I'm gonna print the result. So this is RStudio, by the way, and here I run this code and I got 16. So I got get square 4 and I got as output 16. So it's working fine. But that was a very simple function. Now let's try with something more challenging. Here I have a data frame. So I created this function to clean my data frame and get some stats. So this is a data frame and this is my function. So let's translate this into Python code. So first I'm going to copy this. Here I even made a typo, so I didn't write correctly function, but it still understood my request. So I'm going to copy and paste this one and just correct this. Instead of this, I'm going to write function. And now I'm going to copy again and paste this function that I have here. So now let's test with a data frame. So now I press enter, and now it's telling me the R equivalent of the get stats function, which is the function that I created before. So if you don't know anything about R, you can learn a little bit by seeing this solution. So here, for example, to select a column, you have to use this $sign. Then this table stats, I think, is the equivalent of value counts that I use here. So I use value counts, but here I have to use the table function in R. And here's giving us some explanation of this. And well, finally, it's telling us how to use this getStats function. If I run this, I will get the same output I will get in Python. So it's working just fine. And now let's try something else. So now let's do some text classification. So you can also classify text using ChatGPT. So here I have some tweets or some just simple sentences. First, I love my job, chatbot rocks, my dog is adorable, and I hate chocolate. So I'm gonna ask ChatGPT to classify this as positive or negative. Great, and as you can see, we got which sentences are positive and which sentences are negative. And also we got an explanation of why some sentences are positive, and it's telling us that some verbs like love, rock, and also adorable indicate positive sentiment, and the verb hate suggests a negative sentiment. Okay, now let's try something else. Let's try now web scraping. So usually when we want to collect data from websites, we have to use web scraping. So we can ask this chatbot to web scrape, for example, a website using Python. And you can also specify the library. So I can say beautiful soup. and you can write here the website that you want. It's not gonna work with all the websites, so you have to test it out with a website that you like. In this case, I'm gonna use this website, bookstoscrape.com, which is this one. And here we see the prices of some books and also the titles. So I'm gonna ask this and let's see what happens. So here's telling us that we can scrape a website with beautiful soup and Python, and now is writing the code to scrape this website. So now let's see how it goes. Okay, ChatGPT finished writing the code to scrape this website, and now I'm gonna copy this. The code seems fine, but there are some little details that I don't understand. For example, here, this H3A I think is not correct. Anyway, I'm gonna test this out. Sometimes it gives the right answer and sometimes it doesn't give the right answer. And apparently right now we got the right answer. So we got the titles of each book. For example, here the first one is A Light in the, and then we see those three dots, and well, it's this book, and we scraped all the book titles in this website. For example, here it's only the Himalayas, I think, and we have this book too. And that's great. We successfully scraped this website using ChatGPT. We only have to give the right instruction and it did all on its own. Okay, finally we can also make ChatGPT plot some data visualizations. For example, I can write plot a linear regression using Python and Matplotlib. Then I press enter and ChatGPT is gonna make this linear regression for us. So we said that we have to use this with Matplotlib, and ChatGPT is gonna do this. It's gonna also add NumPy to create some random data. And once this is finished, I'm gonna copy the code and test it out in Jupyter Notebook. Okay, now ChatGPT finished writing all this code that is supposed to get us the linear regression. So now I'm gonna copy, paste it, and voila, we have this linear regression, which is very simple. We could customize this more by giving more instructions or adding some details to our command, but we made this simple. Alright, now let's continue working with the ChatGPT code interpreter. And one of the best things that the ChatGPT code interpreter has is that it supports file uploads and downloads. And to upload a file, what you have to do is go here to this button and click there to upload a file. In case you don't have this plus button, make sure that code interpreter is activated inside GPT-4. Okay, now let's do some simple tasks that you can do after you upload a file to the ChatGPT code interpreter. Alright, so I'm going to click on the plus button and then I'm going to select a TXT file. And this TXT file has just some random text that I created for this video. And well, it's text about how to learn Python. And well, I'm going to close this. This is a TXT file and I'm going to upload this file. And now we're going to continue with some tasks that we can do with this TXT file. And the first thing we're going to do is just tell ChatGPT code interpreter to show the content that is inside this TXT file. So I'm going to type show the content inside this TXT file. And well, that's the first thing we're going to do. We're going to see what's inside this TXT file, and probably ChatGPT is going to write Python code and is going to read this file. And now we see the content inside this TXT file, and well, is the same thing that is inside the file I showed you before, but now it's printed in ChatGPT. So it says learning Python can be difficult, and well, some other things about how to learn Python. And now let's do some tasks that we can perform when we have a TXT file. And the first thing you can do when you have TXT files is do sentiment analysis. And basically this is classifying the text that you have and saying if a text or a specific word is positive or negative. So I can say something like this: perform sentiment analysis on this text. And then I press enter, and then we should see how ChatGPT code interpreter is going to classify this as positive or negative. And as you can see here, it says that, well, one of the popular libraries for sentiment analysis is Vader. And well, it is a library that we use in Python. And well, in case you don't know how to code in Python, don't worry, you don't need to know how to code in Python, because ChatGPT code interpreter is going to take care of all of this. And well, if you know Python, you have a better understanding of what's going on behind the scenes. So here it tells that based on the simple keywords matching, it found 8 positive words and 3 negative words, and that's why the sentiment appears to be positive. Alright, now to see what other things we can do after we upload a file with a code interpreter, we're gonna have a look at the text again, and what we're gonna do is convert this text into lowercase. So I'm gonna type convert the text in that txt file into lowercase and also uppercase. So I'm going to say lowercase and then uppercase. So this is possible to do with Python, because I know, because I worked with Python in the past, and you only need to use some functions to make this happen. And well, I'm gonna just wait a couple of seconds and see the results. And now, as you can see, we have one version of the text in lowercase and the other in uppercase. And well, you can also apply title case or any other thing that you want to do with the text that you have. Now I'm going to ask ChatGPT to create a word cloud, and this is possible because, again, I know that there is a library in Python that creates word clouds. What I don't know if this library is available in one of the pre-installed libraries in the code interpreter. So I'm gonna find out right now. So I'm gonna ask ChatGPT, create a word cloud from that txt file I uploaded. Then I press enter. So now, as you can see, we got this simple word cloud. This doesn't look good. And what I can do maybe is upload another file to give some shape to this word cloud. Alright, I just downloaded a Batman logo, and I'm gonna ask ChatGPT to use this logo as the shape of this word cloud. So here I'm gonna upload this file, and well, it's this logo that you can see here. And I know that Python can do that because I did some tests previously, and well, I upload this PNG file, and I did a test with Python. I didn't do it with the code interpreter. So I'm gonna find out if the code interpreter has the libraries that are necessary to do this combination of the word cloud with this shape. So here I'm going to ask ChatGPT, use this logo or use this PNG file as the shape for the word cloud. Then I press enter, and we're gonna see if ChatGPT is able to use this logo as the shape of the word cloud. And now, as we can see, ChatGPT code interpreter successfully used the Batman logo as the shape for this word cloud. And now I want to know the word frequency in this text. So here I want to count, for example, how many times the word difficult was included in this text. So to do this, I'm going to ask ChatGPT the following. I want to count how many times a word was included in that txt file. Then I'm going to say, can you count each of them and list them? So here I'm just asking this. I'm not telling ChatGPT which libraries it should use. And I'm just doing this because I want to know if ChatGPT is going to use the libraries I'm expecting. Probably it's not going to do that because it cannot guess what I'm thinking. And yeah, it took the easy road. So it's only listing the words. For example, that was presented 7 times, used 6 times, and predicts 5 times, and well, and so on. And I think it's using simple code for this. Yeah, it's using just the counter library. And well, it got the job done. But I know that there is another library or another approach that is more often used when working with text in natural language processing, also known as NLP. And what I'm going to do is ask ChatGPT to use bag of words. So this is a technique to work with the text that you have, and well, in this case, to count the frequency. So use bag of words to see the word frequency, and if possible, use the count vectorizer. So this count vectorizer is a library that is also used a lot in NLP. And well, I'm just going to press enter, and let's see if the results improve in some degree. And as you can see, it got the same result. So most of the time, it doesn't matter if you know which is the right method or the most popular method to get your task solved, because ChatGPT Code Interpreter is going to figure out a method to solve your task. As you can see in the previous prompt, we got our task solved without giving a specific method to use to solve this task. All right, now before finishing this video, I want to say that ChatGPT Code Interpreter is relevant to you even if you're a non-programmer, because in the end, you're going to get your task solved with the ChatGPT Code Interpreter, regardless of your knowledge in programming. And well, in this course or in this section, I'm going to show you some use cases that non-programmers can use when it comes to using the ChatGPT Code Interpreters. And also there's going to be a specific video lecture that is going to be dedicated for only data analysts and programmers. So we're going to see how to make the most of ChatGPT Code Interpreter in the following videos. In this video, I'll show you everything we can do with the ChatGPT Code Interpreter. So let's get started. Alright, the first thing we have to do is enable Code Interpreter. So we open the sidebar and then click on the three dots. Then we select settings and we have to go to beta features. And here we have to enable Code Interpreter. So we enable this option and we'll be able to work with a code interpreter. Okay, now I'm gonna close this window, and then what we have to do is select GPT-4, and you should see in the drop-down Code Interpreter. So we select Code Interpreter, and after that you should see a plus button in the chat bar. So that plus button is gonna allow us to upload new files, new CSV file or any type of file that you want to upload to ChatGPT. In this case, I'm gonna upload this population_total.csv file, and we're gonna work with this file to do some data analysis. By the way, you can download this dataset in the description below. Okay, I'm gonna click on open, and as you can see now, the CSV file is being uploaded, and now is uploaded to ChatGPT. And what I'm gonna do is use this prompt, and this prompt says act as a data scientist and analyze the dataset and make charts and graphs to show the major trends in population growth around the world. So this dataset is about population of different countries for many years, and in this case I'm letting ChatGPT choose the charts and graphs for this analysis. So I'm going to press enter, and we'll see all the analysis that ChatGPT is going to make on its own. All right, now let's see everything ChatGPT is going to do with the code interpreter. First, it gives us a quick overview of the dataset. As we can see here, these are the three columns that our dataset has, and then it automatically detects that there are 7 missing values. Here we can also see that the code is being generated. So here it's using Pandas to read the CSV file, and then to spot these missing values is using the isNull method, and then the drop NA function to drop these missing values. After that is doing some descriptive statistics to give us some insights about this dataset, and finally is giving the visualization that we asked for. In this case, we didn't specify any type of visualization, but it generated a bar plot using Matplotlib, and then this line plot using Matplotlib too. Okay, this is very cool. We didn't do so much prompting, and we got all this analysis in some seconds. Now let's export all this report in a PDF. So I type this, answer it in the form of a multiple pages PDF download, and ChatGPT is going to provide a link for us to download all this analysis in a PDF format. All right, now I have the link, so I click on download the PDF, And after this, I'm gonna get a PDF file. I'm gonna download this PDF file, and if I click on it, you'll see that we have all the visualizations we asked for. So first the bar plot and then the line plot. So it's exactly what we got, but now in PDF format that you can analyze it without all the explanation that ChatGPT gave before. Now we can also export all the code generated in a Jupyter Notebook format, and we're gonna see how to do this in the next example. Alright, for the next example, we're gonna do a lot of prompting to get a more customized report. So I'm gonna upload another dataset. In this case, is this players_20.csv, which is information about soccer players in the game FIFA 20, and this dataset has like 100 columns. So unlike the previous dataset with 3 columns, now we're gonna work with a lot of data. And well, I'm gonna upload this CSV file, which is gonna also be in the description. And after do this, we're gonna type the following prompt. And here's the prompt. First, I'm telling ChatGPT to filter only some countries. So I want to analyze soccer players from some specific countries. And well, that's my first instruction. Then I'm asking to generate some visualizations. And the first is a bar plot. Then I want a histogram and a box plot, then a scatter plot, and then a pie chart. In each visualization, I'm giving some extra instructions of the variables that I want to analyze. Let's see if the code interpreter can handle all of this. Remember that is a lot of data. There are many columns and many rows, and we're giving some specific instructions to get a customized report. So first, it's giving an overview of this dataset. It's telling us that it has 106 columns, but then it's going to select some columns and it's going to filter only the countries that I specified. So far, so good. Then we have our first visualization, which is this bar plot that was generated with this code. Then it's generating the histogram and the box plot, and well, it looks great. So we have the histogram and the box plot that we asked for. Then it's generating also the scatter plot, and finally it's generating the pie chart. And in case of the pie chart, it's using some weird colors. So what I'm gonna ask is to change the colors of the pie chart. So I only ask this, and as you can see, now I get different colors for different elements in this pie chart. Finally, I'm gonna ask ChatGPT to add the link to download this report in PDF format. So now, as you can see, I have the link and I have all the visualizations here in this PDF file. And the last visualization, the pie chart, is the pie chart with all the modifications that we asked for, so with the different colors. And that's how we get this PDF. Now we can also download the code generated into IPYNB format, which is the format that is used for Jupyter Notebooks. Alright, now I'm going to click on download the Jupyter Notebook, and if I open this file, we're going to see all the code that was exported into this IPYNB file. And now we can make some modifications to the code if we want to. But now let's put ChatGPT's code interpreter to the test with multiple files. So I'm going to upload multiple files, multiple datasets, and then we're going to make a data analysis based on those datasets. So I'm going to upload 5 datasets from the FIFA game. In this case, players 17, players 18, 19, 20, and 21. So each dataset represents the game in each year. So in the year 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, and 2021. And we're gonna make a visualization using the 5 datasets. And as you can see, unfortunately, we cannot upload the 5 files in one shot, but we have to upload them separately. Now that all the files were uploaded, I'm going to use this prompt. So here I'm telling ChatGPT a little bit about these 5 datasets. Then I'm telling it to create a new column in each dataset, and then I'm giving some instructions describing the type of analysis that I want to do. So in this case, I want to get a line plot with the evolution of the ratings, the FIFA ratings for these 5 players from the year 2017 to 2021. Then I press enter and it starts with the analysis. So it first tells me that the data was loaded for the players that I specified, and then it's creating the line plot that I asked for. So now, as you can see, first it had an issue, but then it found a solution for the overall column that is in this dataset, and then we have our line plot. So we could verify that ChatGPT's code interpreter can not only analyze one single dataset, but also multiple datasets. And it generates all these reports with this visualization, and we can export all this into a PDF file, and we can also export that code to read it in Jupyter Notebooks. In this video, I'm going to show you how to easily do web scraping using the ChatGPT code interpreter. We're going to be able to scrape any website with a method that I'm going to show you, and we're going to do this in a few minutes. So let's get started. Alright, unlike other methods that I showed you in the past to do web scraping with ChatGPT, this one is very straightforward. We're not going to use any plugin or any other method that I showed you before, but we're going to go to the website that we want to scrape. For example, I'm going to start with Amazon, and here I search for TVs. And the first thing we're going to do is press Ctrl S, and we're going to save all of this as an HTML file. So I press Ctrl S or Command S if you're on a Mac, and then you're going to get this. So we're going to save this file as an HTML. So this one is going to be Amazon.com TVs, and I'm going to save it. So I'm going to press on save, and now I have this file on my computer. Then we're going to upload this file to ChatGPT code interpreter. So we go to GPT-4, we select code interpreter, and then we upload this file. So I press on this button, and then I select this HTML file that we just saved. So here, if I see the preview, we're going to see the website, but now in this simple HTML format. And we have to upload this file to tell ChatGPT to extract some elements from this file. And we're going to use the following prompt. From the HTML file, extract the name of the product and price, and put the data on a table and export it to a CSV file. So basically, we're going to extract only the name of the product, for example, Amazon Fire TV, and then the price, $349. And then we want to put this on a table and export it into a CSV file. So with this, sometimes it's enough, but in this case, I'm going to add more details. And I'm going to help ChatGPT by giving the element where this name of the product and the price is in the HTML file. So here, I'm going to right click and press on inspect. And we're going to get this developer tools. So here, what we're going to provide is the name of the element where this name of the product is located. So in this case, is this element. As you can see, if I select this name or this element, this is highlighted in blue. So this is the element. So I'm going to copy and I'm going to paste it here. So I'm going to press here, and we have the element of the name of the product. Now we have to continue with the price. So here I select the price, and now we have the price, which is this one. So I'm going to press Ctrl C, and then I'm going to paste it below. I'm going to tell now ChatGPT that here is the element of one of the products. So it's going to help get the right element. So here I type, here's the element of one product. And then I'm going to tell ChatGPT that this one is the element of the price. And finally, to finish with this prompt, which is pretty long, I'm going to deal with the missing data, because as you can see here, there are some TVs that don't have the price. And in case we don't tell ChatGPT what to do, it's going to duplicate the price of other product. For example, here we have Samsung Electronics, and this one doesn't have a price. So probably it's going to duplicate the 157 from this product or the 1696 from this other TV. So I'm going to tell ChatGPT how to deal with this missing data. So here I'm going to tell this. In case the price of the product is missing, just leave that price as a null data. And with this, we're done. So I'm going to send this message, and we're going to see how ChatGPT and the code interpreter is going to do all of this. So as you can see, ChatGPT is extracting the name of the products. For example, here first we have the Amazon Fire 43 inches, and probably this is the first one. Yeah, and it's 349. And as we can see, is the correct price and the correct product. Now it's doing some more stuff, and yeah, now it's creating the table that we wanted, and we have two columns, the name of the product and the price, and then it's providing this CSV file with all the data scraped. I'm gonna download this CSV file, and I'm gonna open it up. So here I have the products.csv that ChatGPT generated, and now we can see all the data scraped. So we can see the Amazon Fire TV 43 inches, Toshiba, Insignia, and more brands. And here we can see the price. And if we go here, we're going to see that all the data was correctly extracted. And if that's not the case, you can just do some prompting and tell ChatGPT what was the mistake. So you get the right data and the data is not corrupted or it doesn't have any issue. And now what I'm going to do is extract the same data but from that second page. So I'm going all the way down and I'm going to click on the second page to show you how you can do this in all the pages. I'm going to do an example with the second page. So here I'm going to close this one and I'm going to repeat the same process. So here I press Ctrl S to save this. Sorry. So here now I press Ctrl S. This is the second page. And now I'm going to write Amazon.com underscore TVs 2. So here I download this and now it's done. So I have this file. Then I go to ChatGPT and I'm gonna upload this second page to extract all this data. So here I press on upload, then I upload this second page. And now I'm going to the first prompt that I typed, and here I'm gonna copy this and I'm gonna paste it. So I'm gonna tell ChatGPT that this is the second part of the website. So I typed, this is the second page of the previous website. Use the HTML file to extract the data following the same steps I described before. So these are gonna be the same steps, but this is just the second page. So I'm going to press here and we're going to extract the data from this second page. Now, as you can see, it successfully extracted the name of the products and the price from the second page, and now it's concatenating the two pages into one data frame to export it into a single CSV file. So now I want to click on download products combined, and now we're going to have this file. Now I'm going to open this file and we're going to see the preview, and as you can see, we have more rows. So let's see here, the second page starts with Visio 40-inch, and if we can see here, we should be able to find this product. So it's here, Visio 40-inch, this series, full HD, and the price is 168 if I'm not wrong. And here we can see the same name of the product and the same price. So we successfully scraped not only the first page, but also the second page. And you can continue with this process with the third, the fourth, and the fifth page, and as many pages as you want. And this is how you scrape data from Amazon using this approach with a code interpreter. Now, I'm going to show you another example. And in the second example, I'm going to show you a slightly different approach to do web scraping. All right, now we're on the Glassdoor website. And here we're going to extract the data that you see on the left. So here I typed data scientist to find jobs for data scientists. And what we're going to do is something similar, but we're going to use a different approach. So here I'm going to ChatGPT again, and I'm going to open a new chat. And again, I'm going here to Glassdoor and I'm going to save this as HTML. So I press Ctrl S, then I have this Glassdoor job search, and I'm going to type that HTML. So here underscore DS for data science. And then I'm going to save this. And now we have this file. So once we have this file, again, we go to GPT-4 code interpreter and we upload this file. So Glassdoor job search.html. I open this and we're going to use the following prompt, which is very similar to the previous one, but we have some other things that I'm going to add it. So here from the HTML file, look for the elements with the ID below and extract their data. So I'm going to use the ID as the identifiers for the elements that I want to extract. And the elements that I want to extract is the name of the company. Then I also want to extract the job title, in this case data scientist, then the location, and finally the job salary. And I can use the same approach I used before, which is right click, inspect, and copy the element I want to extract, but sometimes it might not work. And in case it doesn't work, you can use a different approach, analyzing just the element that you're using. In this case, I have this element, and here, as you can see, there is an ID, and this ID has a very clear name, job title. And this job title represents the name of this job, which is data scientist. So here, if I copy all this, the name of the ID, I can just list all the IDs I want to extract. So I started with the job title. Then I can continue with the company, the name of the company. So here I can go to job employer and then copy and paste it again. So here, instead of job title, job employer, and then I'm going to continue with the location and the salary. So here, select again the location, then I'm going to use the ID, which should be here. So ID, job location, just copy and paste it. We have one more, which is the salary. And again, just select the salary and then the ID. Actually, you can use another element, not necessarily the ID. I'm just using the ID because it's unique, but you can use the data test attribute or the class. It might work. It might also not work, but it depends on the website that you're scraping. So here, finally, I have job salary. And as you can see, these IDs have these numbers which are not necessary, so I can delete these numbers. Again, you can simply copy the whole element and paste it as we did before, but in this case we're only using these words. And now I'm going to tell ChatGPT that to put the data on a table and export it into a CSV file. And in case there is missing data, because there are some companies that don't have the salary here, that for example this one doesn't have the salary. So in case there is missing data, just leave it as null data. So now I press enter. Now ChatGPT says that there's no element with the specified IDs, and that's true because I deleted the rest of the ID and I only left these words. And what I can tell ChatGPT is to use regex to match that part of the ID. So I'm gonna type the following. So those are parts of the ID. Use regex to match that part of the name of the ID. And with this, ChatGPT is not going to match exactly the whole name of the ID, but is going to verify that if the ID contains these words, job employer, job title, location, and salary, is going to be enough to extract this data. So here I'm going to tell this, and hopefully we're going to be able to extract the data that we wanted. So as you can see, ChatGPT extracted all the data and even told me that there is some mismatch in the number of elements found for each category. So hopefully it left the data point as null and it didn't duplicate any job title or location or salary. So we're gonna verify this. I'm gonna download the CSV file. So now I open a preview, and as we can see here, we have this data. So I'm going to Glassdoor to verify if it's the same data. So we have here, for example, UCLA Health, data scientist, LA, and 26.20 the hour. And yeah, it's exactly this one. Then, for example, we have Snapchat, 205,000 per year. And yeah, it's the same. So we successfully extracted all the data. And in case it duplicated some rows by mistake, you can tell ChatGPT that it duplicated the rows and that it should leave the data or the missing data as null or as NaN. Alright, to work with this plugin, you need to have a ChatGPT Plus subscription. You have to enable plugins, and then you have to enable GPT-4, go to plugins and select here on this drop down the plugin store. Here in the search bar, we type Scraper, and then we have to install Scraper. So here, Scraper, and then you have to install this plugin. So once you have this plugin here, you have to enable this plugin, you have to check in the box, and then we can start scraping a website with this plugin. So there are many limitations this plugin has right now, but in this video I'm going to show you all the websites that I was able to scrape using this plugin. And the first website I'm going to show you is YouTube. So here I have my YouTube website, and as you can see here are all the videos that I published so far on YouTube. And if I want to scrape the titles, the number of views, and the date the video was published, I only have to type a prompt and specify all of this data that I want to scrape. So I have to copy the link and then specify what data I want to scrape. So here I go back to ChatGPT, I have the Scraper plugin enabled, and I have to type the following prompt. And here I have the prompt. And the prompt says, scrape the titles, views, and date published from the videos listed in this website. And this is the website, my YouTube site. So here, if I press enter, Scraper is going to scrape all of this data. And by default, Scraper is going to extract the first items that are on the website. So as you can see here, for example, Scraper is going to extract only the first 10 videos that are listed in this website, but we can ask Scraper to extract more items. And I'm going to show you how to do this after scraping this website. Alright, as you can see, Scraper scraped 20 items from this website. So the latest 20 videos that are on my YouTube channel. So we have here, for example, my latest video is GPT Engineer, generate a full code base with one prompt. And we have the views and the date published, and here is the data that was extracted. So as you can see, we didn't specify how many items we wanted to extract, but by default, it extracted 20 items. Sometimes it does only 10 or 15, but you can also specify how many items you want. For example, here I can tell ChatGPT, can you scrape 10 more items from the YouTube website I provided before? And if I press enter, Scraper is going to extract 10 more items from this same page. All right, as you can see, now it's continuing the previous list. So it's scraping 10 more items. And well, we can see now that we have that analysis project with Python. This was published 7 months ago. And well, in total, we have 30 items scraped from my YouTube channel. And now, if you want to export all of this data into Excel or into a spreadsheet, you can ask ChatGPT to put all this data scraped into a table. And to do this, I'm gonna ask ChatGPT, can you put that 30 items scraped in a table? And with this, I'm gonna get all this data inside the table. So we're gonna get 4 columns. Here, the first column is the number of the item. Then we have the title. Then we have the views, and then we have the date it was published. So as you can see, we have this data, and although we cannot export all this data into a CSV file because I don't have the code interpreter plugin, maybe when this code interpreter plugin is available for everybody, I can easily export it into a CSV file. But right now, the best way to do this is putting the data into a table and then copying and pasting this data into a spreadsheet like Excel or Google Sheets. All right, now I have to stop the response because after the row number 26, it had some errors here in the row number 26. It didn't put the data inside the views and the published column. This is an error that shouldn't happen all the time. Actually, I did a test before making this video and it didn't have this error. And well, this after doing this, automatically it generated another table, but again it produced the same error. But anyway, as you can see, at least the first 25 items were successfully included into this table. And now you can copy this and paste it into Excel, and well, you have your data scraped. Now let's move on to the next example. So for the next example, we're gonna scrape this website, Business Insider, and as you can see, this one has a different format from YouTube, and we're gonna extract the titles of the news, then we're gonna extract the description and the date when the article was published. And as you can see here, we have many news listed in this website. And to do this, we're going to ChatGPT, and well, here we're gonna write the following prompt. So scrape the headline, date published, and description from the articles listed in this website. And here we have the website businessinsider.com. And after we press enter, we're gonna scrape all the data inside this website. All right, as you can see, for some reason, Scraper wasn't able to scrape the data inside this website, which is weird because before making this video, I did a test. Here, as you can see, I did a test with Scraper and it was able to scrape data from Business Insider. And I'm going to show you here the data that it was able to scrape. So here in this prompt, it was the same prompt I used before and it was able to scrape the data from Business Insider. For example, here I have Mark Zuckerberg's comeback is in full swing and is here, if I'm not wrong, is here, is this website. So we have the title, the description, and the time it was published. So we have title, description, and data published and date published. In this case, it wasn't able to scrape the date published, but the title and description was successfully scraped. And well, in my first attempt, it scraped the first 5 items, but then it was able to scrape 10 more items, as you can see here. So as you can see, this plugin is able to scrape websites. It does a good job sometimes it fails for some reason, but in general, if the website isn't against web scraping in the terms of service And if the website doesn't load its data dynamically, you shouldn't have any problem scraping the website using this ChatGPT plugin. And to explain you what I mean by loading data dynamically, I'm gonna attempt to scrape the data from my own website. So here's my website, thepycoach.com, and here I publish articles about AI and programming, data science, any kind of tech topics. And as you can see here, there are a list of articles, and if we scroll down, we see that there are more articles, but those articles are only loaded if we scroll down. So this website needs scrolling to load all the data. And this is what I mean by loading the data dynamically. If you need to click on a button or to scroll down to get more data, that means that the website loads its data dynamically. And you can still scrape data from this website. For example, if I go here to ChatGPT, I can actually scrape the data from this website. But the problem is that we're not gonna able to scrape all the data. So let's give it a try. So here's the prompt that I'm gonna use. Scrape the headlines, date publish in text. This is this part of the item. As you can see here, publish in, and this is the name of the publication. So as you can see, we also want to extract this part of the item. Then we have also the description, and we want to extract all this data from the articles listed on my website. So if I press enter, we're gonna be able to extract the first items that are on my website. So probably the first 5 or 6 items, but we're not gonna be able to extract all the items that are in this page because the items are loaded dynamically, and that's an issue that right now Scraper is not able to handle. Alright, as you can see, we only scraped the first 5 items, and if I ask Scraper to do some scrolling to scrape more items, it's gonna tell me that it's not able to do this. And that's some of the limitations this plugin has. Some other limitations, as I mentioned before, is that it doesn't scrape websites that are against web scraping in their terms of service. It also doesn't scrape websites that load data dynamically, and it doesn't do clicks, scrolling, or other stuff that you will do with tools like Selenium, for example. Other than that, this plugin is great for scraping simple websites, and it can save you some minutes when you want to extract data from some websites. In this video, I'm going to show you how to use ChatGPT Code Interpreter to automate Excel reports. We're going to use the ChatGPT Code Interpreter to generate Python code that creates pivot table, Excel charts, and even Excel formulas. So let's get started. Alright, to automate Excel reports with the ChatGPT Code Interpreter, first we have to click on GPT-4 and select Code Interpreter. And here we can upload any Excel file we have. So here on the left, I have the Excel file that we're going to use for this tutorial. And in this case is an Excel file that has supermarket sales and basically has the sales from female and male in different product lines. And what the report is going to be about is show how much female and male spend in different product lines. For example, health and beauty, electronics, home and lifestyle, and so on. So we want to know that different type of expenses that each gender has, and only for the year 2019. So we're gonna create a Python script, or ChatGPT is going to generate a Python script that has a pivot table, Excel charts, and even Excel formulas. So let's start with the pivot table. So we go here to GPT-4 and then we upload this file, and this file is called supermarket_sales. So first we have this data set, and we upload this Excel file, and then we continue with this prompt, and I'm gonna paste this prompt that I created before, and this prompt says the following: write Python code to create a pivot table, and this pivot table should show how much male and female spend on each product line in the year 2019. So that's the goal of this pivot table, and actually that's the goal of this whole report. And the pivot table should be in the second sheet of the Excel file, and the second sheet should be named as the year of the analysis. So the second sheet is going to be named 2019. We're going to have another sheet here, and it's going to be named 2019. And in cell A1 of this new sheet, we should have this report 2019 as the title of this sheet in in this cell. Well, this is what we're gonna do, and now we press enter. Alright, ChatGPT just finished generating this report, and now we have the Excel file. So I click on download, and here we have the file, and I'm going to upload this file on Google Drive. By the way, I'm using Google Drive, but it doesn't matter because it's the same, it worked the same on Excel. And now I'm gonna open this file. Here we have the file. Then we see that there is a second sheet named 2019, and well, it looks good. And now we see, I'm gonna zoom in, we see here that in A1 it says report 2019, and then we have the pivot table. We could have asked ChatGPT to put this A1 in bold and also to modify the font, but we're gonna do that later. And well, we have now the pivot table. So now we can start with the second part of the prompt. And in the second part, I'm going to ask ChatGPT to create an Excel bar chart, so I can see not only in numbers but also in a bar plot how these expenses are distributed. So I'm going here back to ChatGPT, and now I'm going to write this prompt, and this is going to be the second part of this prompt. So add an Excel chart with Python code. The graph should be a bar plot that shows how much each gender spent on each product line. So that's what it's gonna do. And well, I'm telling ChatGPT to use the data from the pivot table. So now I press enter, and now ChatGPT is going to generate the bar plot with all the data from the pivot table. All right, now we see that it modified, or it added some lines of code to the original Python script. We're gonna copy that script later when the script is completed. And now, just for now, I'm going to download this Excel file to see the progress. So to see if everything is correct or there are some mistakes. Here I'm going to upload this file again to Google Drive, and then I'm going to open it up to see the progress that ChatGPT made. And if there is some issues, we can ask ChatGPT to correct its mistake. So now I'm going to the second sheet, and now we can see, I'm gonna zoom in again. We can see that we got this bar chart and it looks good. So this bar chart represents the spending by gender on each product line in 2019. So we can see each product line, and we can see also that all this data comes from this pivot table. Blue is female and red is male. So 27 to 135 is male. So here ChatGPT didn't add the labels, and well, we can tell ChatGPT to modify that. So I'm going to tell ChatGPT to do that, and also continue with the third part of the prompt, which is tell ChatGPT to create Excel formulas to calculate the total in the expenses. And also I want this number to be in currency style. So the cell style should be currency. And that's the last part of the prompt. All right, so I go to the right here, and I'm gonna tell that the labels of the bar chart are not visible. And I'm going to specify that by labels, I mean male and female. So these are not visible here, blue and red. And then I'm going to continue with the next part of the prompt. Also add Excel formulas, and this is the third part of the prompt, using Python code to calculate the total of each column in the pivot table, and then put those cells in currency style. So this is what I mentioned before. I click on send message, and now let's wait. So now ChatGPT finished, and it says that updated the bar chart to make the labels visible, and also added Excel formulas that we asked for. So now I click in download, and here I'm going to upload this file. So here I click on this file that was downloaded, and now I upload it to Google Drive. So now I double click on this new file, and we should see the bar chart with the labels and also the Excel formulas in the pivot table. And as you can see now, the labels were not corrected, and also here in the total, it made a mistake, because here, instead of calculating the total of female and male, it replaced the value of the cell B8. So the total should be in B9, but it replaced the value in B8 and also in C8. So I'm gonna tell ChatGPT that it made a mistake, and hopefully it's going to correct all these issues. Alright guys, after working with ChatGPT, I could fix here the labels. So now we can see female and male. And also here we can see the formulas, and here we have the total spent by female and also the total spent by male. And well, Once we have all of this, we can make ChatGPT to show us the complete Python code. So we can copy and paste it on our text editor. So I'm going to tell ChatGPT that, show me the complete Python script. And the purpose of this is to convert the current Python script that automates the Excel report to a dynamic script. So for example, here we can see that in min column, min row, max column, and max row, we're using some references, but these references are not dynamic. So if we change the size of this pivot table, all of this is not going to work. So now our goal is to make this script a dynamic script. So even if we change the size of this pivot table, all of this is going to work. So now I'm saying, can you make the script dynamic? For example, the data variable, so I'm referring to this data variable has references following the current size of the pivot table. But these references will change if the size of the pivot table changes. So now with this, now we should have a dynamic script. So now I press enter and let's see what ChatGPT does. And now as we can see, now ChatGPT is helping us to dynamically determine the size of the pivot table. And this is great because it doesn't matter the size of the pivot table. Now it's using the shape attribute to calculate the size. So if it changes here with this variable, now the change is going to be considered in this code. Instead of saying here max column, just the number, now we have the number of columns as reference, and the same goes for the max row. And as we can see also, this number of rows and number of columns are being used here in the formulas, and this means that we're gonna still get the formulas even if the size of the pivot table changes. Since ChatGPT Vision was released, I've been using it in different ways as a data analyst, and I found it very useful when dealing with some tasks. And in today's video, we're going to see how to make the most of ChatGPT Vision as data analysts. So let's get started. Alright, ChatGPT Vision is available for ChatGPT Plus subscribers, and in case you're one of them, what you have to do is go to GPT-4 and just go to default. And if you have Vision available for you, you'll see this icon on this box. And well, now I'm gonna show you some use cases that I found when working with ChatGPT Vision. And first, I'm gonna click here to upload an image. And the first image I have here is this one. This is a sales analysis dashboard, and in this dashboard we see different visualizations. And I can share this image with ChatGPT to get some insights and some quick analysis. So what I'm gonna do is close this and then upload it so we can analyze it with ChatGPT. And what I'm gonna say is this: make a quick analysis of this sales dashboard. And this is very simple. Now I press enter. Alright, ChatGPT finished with the quick analysis based on the image of the dashboard I shared, and it generated 5 points, and probably each point corresponds to one of the visualizations that we have here. First, we have the overview metrics, which is the numbers that we see here, the first numbers. Then we have revenue and profit trends, then sales volume by country, which is this one, the second on the right, then top 10 countries and top 10 products. So we have like a quick analysis for each visualization that we have. But let's say that we want to get some insights overall of that whole dashboard. So I'm going to ask ChatGPT to draw some conclusions from the dashboard. Alright, ChatGPT generated 7 insights from the dashboard that we shared before. And this is very cool because you can have a very good idea of what the dashboard is about in just a couple of minutes. Alright, now this comes very useful when you are not able to understand a specific visualization. For example, in this case, I just shared this dashboard and I just wanted to get an overview of this. But in other cases, we are just not able to understand some visualizations because there are some visualizations that are uncommon and we sometimes are not familiar with. So ChatGPT can help you understand visualizations that we are not familiar with. And I'm going to show you how to do this later. But before we do this, I want to show you another cool use case of ChatGPT Vision, and this is generating LaTeX formulas for your Jupyter notebooks. So if you've been using Jupyter notebooks, you know that in some notebooks there are some math formulas with those math symbols, and if you want to generate such symbols, you need to learn something called LaTeX. That's let's say a programming language, and it has different commands for math symbols. And well, in the past you needed to learn LaTeX, but right now you can simply give the screenshot of a math formula and tell ChatGPT to generate the LaTeX code for you, and then you only have to copy and paste to Jupyter notebooks, and then you get your math formula on Jupyter notebook. And I'm going to show you how to do this. I'm going to click on attach images, and then I'm going to select some other images I have here. So I have here some math formulas, for example, this equation that you see here, and then these two. So equation and quadratic equation. So I want to upload two. And by the way, you can upload multiple files at the same time. And then I'm going to give the following prompt. Translate this math formula to LaTeX, and then press enter. All right, ChatGPT for some reason didn't generate the code. So I'm going to specify that I want the code. All right, as you can see, I asked ChatGPT to give me the LaTeX code and also to adapt it to Jupyter Notebook, because in Jupyter Notebook we need to add the dollar signs to correctly display the formula. So here I have the lines of code, so I'm going to copy the first one, then go to Jupyter Notebook, and what you have to do here is first locate a cell and then go here and click on Markdown. That's the Markdown cell, and then paste the code that we generated before. Then run this, and as you can see, now we have the formula. If you double click, you get the code, and if you run this, you get the formula. So I'm gonna do the same with the second line of code. So now click here, Markdown, and then paste the code, run this, and you get again the formula. And this is very cool, but sometimes you don't have like the screenshot available, because here I showed you the screenshot of these two formulas, and this is something that I got from the internet. But sometimes we don't have the screenshot available, and in those cases what we have to do is simply write in a piece of paper the math symbol that we want to translate to LaTeX code, and you can write it on a piece of paper or in a whiteboard. And well, I'm going to show you an example of this, and this works wonders with ChatGPT Vision. So here I have two handwritten math formulas, and I'm going to upload it to ChatGPT, and then I'm going to ask ChatGPT to translate this to LaTeX and also to adapt it to Jupyter Notebook. So I press enter, and now let's wait some seconds. All right, we have the code, the first and the second image. First, let's copy the code of the handwritten math symbols, and here again, Markdown, you can use the shortcut M, and then run this, and here we have the formula. And you can do the same with the second that was in the whiteboard, and that's it. That's how you generate math formulas or math symbols in Jupyter Notebooks. All right, now let's continue with something that I mentioned before, and this is giving ChatGPT the visualization that you don't understand or you're unfamiliar with, and asking it to provide an explanation. So here I have some visualizations that I had trouble understanding because I was a bit unfamiliar with them, and this comes from a data analysis that I was reading the other day. And well, these are heat maps, and well, the heat map that I didn't understand was this one. And by the way, the analysis that I'm talking about is this one, that is finding the best Mario Kart character according to data science. And well, as you can see, there are many heat maps, and I wasn't able to understand quickly the meaning of this heat map. Basically, what I wasn't able to understand was why this heat map had different zeros in this row and also in this other row in this second heat map. I didn't understand this. Sometimes I don't use heat maps so often in my visualizations. That's why I forgot, or I just didn't know why. And what I did was give it to ChatGPT. Then I use this prompt. These are images from a data analysis code, and here I give just some detail about this analysis. And I do this because it can help ChatGPT to provide better results. And then I ask ChatGPT to help me understand that image. So here I press enter. All right, ChatGPT generated a quick explanation of this heat map, and well, you can see an overview and some details of the elements in this heat map, like the color scheme, and then it focuses on the body heat map, which is the first in this image, and then the tire heat map, which is the second. And in this explanation, it didn't mention so much about the zeros in these two rows, and what I did was ask a second question, why there are multiple zeros in the standard card and in the standard row, and it gave me an explanation. It basically mentions that is about the baseline. Those are baselines, and well, now I have a better understanding of what this heat map is about. And well, that's it. That's how you can use ChatGPT Vision as a data analyst. I used ChatGPT to solve a real-world data analysis project from scratch. When ChatGPT didn't exist, it took me days to solve this project on my own, and I even made a 2-hour YouTube tutorial explaining how I did it. I asked ChatGPT to do every step of the project, from data collection and cleaning to visualizations and other complex tasks. Then I rated its performance on a scale from 1 to 10. Let's find out whether ChatGPT is useful for real-world data analysis projects. Alright, when it comes to web scraping, ChatGPT can save you some time. As I showed you in previous videos, you can use ChatGPT to extract data from websites. You only need to save the page as HTML or as a PDF, and then you can extract the data, or you can use the Scraper plugin or the Scraper GPT, and you can give the link and extract data from the website. However, this comes with some limitations. If the website loads the data dynamically, you won't be able to extract the data. And also, the Scraper GPT doesn't allow you to scrape all the websites out there. With some websites it works, but with some other websites it doesn't work. And for my project, unfortunately, I wasn't able to extract data with Scraper. For my project, I needed to extract data from Wikipedia, I needed to extract football data, I needed to extract the home team, the score, final score, and then the away team. And this wasn't in a proper table, so maybe that's why Scraper wasn't able to extract all the data. And that was a problem because Wikipedia has all the data that I wanted. And what I was planning to do, and what I actually did when I solved the project on my own, was extract data from multiple Wikipedia pages. So I needed data from multiple years, and each year was stored on a different Wikipedia page. And I had to extract multiple Wikipedia pages, and I wasn't able to do this with ChatGPT. However, I have to say that this is an issue that was with Wikipedia, because when I found another source where I could download this FIFA football data, which is this one that you can see now, in this page I had tables, and I think it was easy to extract. And here ChatGPT could extract the data without any problem. It extracted all the data, but the problem with this website is that it only had the data from some years. So as you can see here, I only have data from 3, 4, 5, 6 years, unlike Wikipedia, where I have the data from all the years, which are like 20 or 30. So ChatGPT could extract data from this website, but this website didn't have the data from all the years I wanted. So if I have to give a score from 1 to 10 to ChatGPT as the web scraper, it'll be 6. It can save you a lot of time when it's able to scrape the website, but in some other cases, it's just not useful. Alright, now let's see if ChatGPT is useful for data cleaning. And well, here I use the datasets that I extracted in the previous step, which was web scraping or data collection. And in the data collection, I got 3 datasets: the fixture, then the matches, and then some missing data from the matches that I collected too. And here I gave ChatGPT some simple instructions on how I wanted to clean the data and wrangle the data. And as you can see here, I told ChatGPT to clean the dataset fixture. This one needed some simple cleaning. Then I told ChatGPT to join the 2 datasets, the remaining, the World Cup matches and the World Cup matches with missing data. And well, this was my second instruction. So far, it's everything simple. And then in the final point, I told ChatGPT that I wanted to clean and wrangle the data frame that was the result of the join that I did in the previous step. So here, the important thing was that I told ChatGPT what was the result I was expecting. So here I told that the end result should have the following columns. And here I specify the 6 columns I was expecting. And these 6 columns are important because if you check the original data frame, the original dataset, sorry, which is the workup matches, I'm going to show you here. And this one has 4 columns: home, score, away, and year. Here with the name of the columns, I tried to help ChatGPT infer what I was trying to achieve. For example, here in away goals and home goals, I have these 2 columns in my end result, what I was expecting. ChatGPT could infer that here I wanted to split this score column in 2 columns, and I wanted to split by this hyphen that I have in the middle, and well, I will split this in 2 columns: home goals, which is on the left, and away goals on the right. And then with the total goals, I was expecting ChatGPT to infer that this was the home goals plus away goals. And of course, for ChatGPT to get to this final result, it has to do a lot of wrangling and setting the columns as integers and removing null data, renaming columns, creating new columns, removing leading and trailing white spaces, and a lot more. And as you can see, I didn't specify any of that. I just give this simple instruction, and I'm expecting ChatGPT to do this on its own. And to be honest, ChatGPT didn't disappoint. Here in the analysis that it did, it actually did everything I was expecting to do, and it did everything I did here on my own. I'm showing you right now the script I used to clean all this data, and almost everything I did on my own, all the code I wrote, ChatGPT did it as well, and it got to the same result. And well, of course, it got some errors in the way to the final result. Here you can see errors analyzing, 2 errors actually, but in the end it gives what you asked for. And here I got my clean fixture dataset and also the historical dataset. And after I downloaded the 2 files, I opened one of them and I verified that the sum of the total goals was the same as in the file where I did everything manually. So ChatGPT did all the data cleaning I was expecting, and the only thing I had to do was provide these simple instructions with the goal of the data cleaning that I wanted to do. And believe me, these instructions that you can see right now, it's very simple compared to another attempt I did where I actually gave ChatGPT detailed instructions. And when I say detailed instructions, I mean it, because all of these instructions that you can see here, I extracted this from the comments that I put here on my script. So every comment I did on every step, I just copy and pasted it. So if I have to give a score from 1 to 10 to ChatGPT as a tool for data cleaning, it'll be 8 or 9, because it can write the code to clean all your data, and all you need to do is give some simple instructions. Alright, now let's see data visualization. And what I like about ChatGPT is that it doesn't matter if you're very specific or if you just give some general instructions. ChatGPT gives you the visualization that you need. For example, here I told ChatGPT to make some visualizations from this data frame that has the historical football data that I got before from the data cleaning step. And well, what I got with ChatGPT was just amazing. I just told it to use this data frame and find some insights, and it automatically plot this line plot and also this bar plot. And in the first line plot, it graphed the total goals score in World Cup matches by year, and I got all of this just from this simple prompt. And when I tried to be more specific about what I was trying to get, for example here, make a visualization that shows how many matches were played per year, ChatGPT just did what I asked for. So I can see that in the past there were very few matches, and in the recent World Cups there were more matches, around 62. And with this, the previous graph that ChatGPT made makes sense, because we can see here that in the past World Cups before 1940 there were very few goals, and in the recent World Cups there are more goals. So I have nothing to complain about ChatGPT for data visualization. It actually is a beast. And from 1 to 10, I will give it a 10, because in some seconds it plots the visualizations that you want. Okay, and finally, I wanted to see if ChatGPT is useful for doing more complex data wrangling and also to doing some simple predictions, nothing fancy like machine learning, but just simple predictions like creating a function as I did here manually, and then using some statistics with some probabilities. I wanted to see if ChatGPT could create something like this from scratch and predict the football matches as I did. And I was pretty disappointed, because ChatGPT couldn't understand the instructions I gave it. I gave some pretty detailed instructions on how to build this function that helps me predict the football matches, and also to do this wrangling, which returns a data frame that is going to be used as input in this function. And ChatGPT actually could do the data wrangling and return this data frame, which was the input for this function, but then it failed to create this function. It just didn't understand the instructions. First, it told me that the methodology that I was using, it needed some adjustments, and well, it refused to do it, or it just didn't do it. And then I told ChatGPT to use the methodology I was using, which was the Poisson distribution, or use any other method that it could come up with. And then I specify again what was the final result I was expecting. And in this case, it actually did something similar to what I did. And here you can see the code. It wrote all this code, and it's not exactly as I did manually, but anyway, I was expecting the same code, but what I was expecting was some similar results to what I got. So here I asked ChatGPT to predict a football match between England and the United States, and here, using the probabilities and the methodology I suggested, it actually gave some results that make sense. In this match, England will beat the United States, and well, it has more probabilities and it will get more points, and the result is similar to what I got with my function, what I got with my own function. It wasn't the same, but I still needed to double check the code it wrote. And also the code it wrote was only simplified for this specific match between England and the United States, and it didn't create a function that will work for any other team or nationality that will have a hypothetical match. And well, if I have to give a score from 1 to 10 on how good ChatGPT is at data wrangling and doing something beyond that, I will give a 5, because it sometimes struggles to do what you want, and when it gives you a result that seems right, you still need to double check on the code it generated. Alright, today we found that ChatGPT is very useful for some tasks like data cleaning and visualization, but for things like web scraping or more complex tasks, ChatGPT sometimes is not enough. Alright, and that's my experience doing a data analysis project with ChatGPT. For web scraping is great, but only in some websites, not in all the websites, while for data cleaning and visualization is just great. It cleans all your data and it makes the visualizations that you want. But for some complex data wrangling and other complex tasks, it's just not a reliable tool. I just created a GPT that extracts data from websites. I call it Scraper GPT. That said, it doesn't actually go to the website and scrapes data or extracts the data from an HTML file, as I showed you in a previous video. In this case, we're going to use a different approach that will help us extract data from websites by just telling what data we want to get. Once we see how this works, we're going to quickly create a GPT to automate all of this. Alright, before we start with this video, note that this method isn't going to be appropriate for all websites out there, but it's still powerful and very easy to use. With that in mind, let's build a Scraper GPT. Alright, to start from scratch, I created this regular chat with GPT-4, and now let's extract data from a website. So here I have a website that I just opened, and well, this is Udemy, and let's extract the items that we see here. In this case are web scraping courses. So I went to Udemy, I typed web scraping, I have this list of courses. And let's say that I want to extract all these courses from all these pages, or at least for the first 3 pages. So in the previous video I showed you that you can scrape all this data by saving this page as HTML. And that's a good method, but you need to give the HTML element of each element that you want to extract. And sometimes some HTML files are a bit complex, and that doesn't help us extract the data that we want. So this approach is a bit different, and it works with some websites. And what we're going to do is just save this page as PDF and then ask ChatGPT to extract data. So if you're in Chrome, what you're going to do is go to Files and then click on Print. And you're going to get this, and in Layout, you have to choose Landscape. Otherwise, you're going to get this saved as in the mobile version, and we don't want that. We want this, the complete version. So you're gonna get this as PDF, then you click Save, and that's how you get these search results. And Chrome works fine for most websites, but in some websites it doesn't export all the PDF properly. Some parts of the page are not visible, and what I do is sometimes use another browser. In this case, I'm gonna use Safari. Safari is also very useful. So here we have Safari, and if you're in Safari, you can go to File and then Export as PDF. So far, Safari hasn't failed me, and it's working fine for most websites. So here I click on Save, Search Results, Udemy. And once you have the file, you can go and open the file and see that all the page was exported as PDF. So this is the same page that we had before, but now in PDF format. So what we have to do now is go to ChatGPT and create our prompt. So here I'm going to ChatGPT and we're gonna type the following prompt. And here's the prompt: extract data from the file. And well, I'm gonna upload the PDF file that we exported before, and it's this one. Then I say, here's the data you should extract from the first item. So I'm giving the first item as a sample. So if we go here to Udemy again, we see that we have the first item, we have the instructor, we have the name of the course, ratings, and the total hours. And that's what I copied and pasted here. So this is just a sample to guide ChatGPT. And then I tell ChatGPT that it has to extract the same data for the rest of the items. So it's going to repeat the same process for all the items that we can see here. And that's what it's going to do. You can also add some extra notes depending on the website that you're working with. And we're going to tweak this prompt a little bit later when we create that GPT. So here I'm going to press enter and see what happens. All right, now we see that ChatGPT printed the 20 items that are in the Udemy website. And to verify that everything was correctly extracted, we're gonna check this last item: learn a Python skill in 7 days from scratch, web scraping, and this is the last item. So we see that it's 4.6, 16 reviews and 4.5 hours. So we can see 4.6, 16 reviews or ratings and 4.5 hours. So we can see that all the data was successfully extracted, all the 20 items. And now I'm gonna ask ChatGPT to export this as a CSV file. All right, I wrote, put this data in a table and export it as a CSV file. Now I press enter and we're gonna get our CSV file with all this data. All right, for some reason right now I got an error message, and this is very weird because right now I already have data and it should only export this data into a CSV file, which is very easy. And I want to demonstrate to you that this actually works with this previous test that I did. This is another tab, and well, here I said the same, export this to a CSV file, and I got that it was successfully exported the CSV file, and I have the link. So I only have to click the link and I get the file. In this case, I cannot get the file because the code interpreter session expired, but I have the file and I'm gonna open it up right now. All right, here I have the CSV file, and as you can see, we have the 20 items in this file. And well, you can verify that even the last item that we checked before is the same: 4.6, learn a Python skill in 7 days from scratch, web scraping, and 4.5 hours. And this is actually this course that we see listed at the end of this page. And well, we successfully exported all this data, and now let's create our GPT from this prompt. All right, to create a GPT, you have to go to the sidebar and then click on Explore. And then we have to click Create a GPT. So you can create a GPT with a GPT Builder, or you can manually create it in the Configure section. So here now I'm in Configure, and now I'm gonna name my GPT. I'm gonna name it as Scraper GPT, and then I'm gonna put in parentheses tutorial, just to have a different name from the one that I already have. And then in the instructions, I'm gonna paste that same prompt, but I'm gonna do some tweaks. And this is the instructions that I'm gonna paste. So here you have to extract data from all the items listed in the file. This is the same. And then, well, to guide you, the user will give you the data you should extract from the first item, and you have to extract the same data as for as many items as you can. I put this last sentence because sometimes it doesn't extract all the data, it stops in one point, and well, with this I'm making sure that it extracts as much data as it can. And then I said that you have to put the data extracted on the table and export it to a CSV file. And finally, I add some notes that you might need depending on the website that you're working with. In this case, these 2 notes are enough for me. You can add the description if you want, and we don't need any conversation starters. And here I'm going to limit the capabilities to only code interpreter because it's the one that we're going to use. Then we click on save, and then we can extract data by just giving the data that we want to extract from the website. So now to follow the same example that we have before with Udemy, I'm gonna paste this, which is the first item of that PDF, and then that should be enough. Well, I need to upload the PDF too, of course. So here I have the PDF, then I'm gonna wait until it's uploaded and then press enter. All right, here I got a preview of the data that was extracted. I have the first 6 or 5 elements, and then I have the CSV file that I can click here to download. So here I have the CSV file, and if I make this smaller, I should be able to click here on the CSV file that I downloaded. Udemy courses, or this is the second file, and well, it's the same as the first one I got. So here I have the course title, then I have the instructors, I have 20 items. As you can see, all the data was extracted. So this is the first one I showed you before. This is the second one that we got with GPT. And as you can see, it's the same data as we got before. It's exactly the same. So this is how you do it. This is this approach that I showed you. And now I'm gonna mention some little problems that you can encounter. So first we have the type of website that you want to extract data from. So here I'm going to Safari, and I have here other types of website. For example, this first Udemy had all the items listed in this vertical list. And sometimes you might have some elements in the middle. For example, here you have in Amazon.com, you have a vertical list, but you have some elements in the middle. And this might be an issue. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And well, then you have also on Amazon.com this type of lists that don't have many items in the middle. For example, here I have only one, but here I have like 4 or 5. And with this one works just fine. I tried it and it extracted all this data because it doesn't have many elements in the middle. Sometimes you can help ChatGPT telling that there is some elements in the middle or that ignore some type of elements. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And now regarding ChatGPT, there is some issues sometimes. Sometimes ChatGPT gets a bit dumb because it extracts data with the regular GPT-4 conversation, but then when you try to do it in the GPT, for example, right now I created this Scraper GPT and I try to do this automatically just by giving the names of the data I want to extract. Sometimes it fails, even though it doesn't fail in the regular GPT-4 chat. So it's some issues that OpenAI right now has with GPT. Sometimes they are not as smart as a regular GPT-4 chat for some reason. Hopefully that's going to change in the future. And also even in the regular GPT-4 chat, sometimes it doesn't do what you want. As you've seen before, it didn't give me the link to the CSV file because it couldn't export the data to a CSV file, and that's very weird because that's pretty easy. And well, that's some of the issues that we might encounter and that hopefully OpenAI is going to fix. Web scraping with ChatGPT is mind-blowing with GPT mentions. You only need to use the Scraper GPT and provide a link to extract data from a website in seconds, and then use the Data Analyst GPT to download all the data extracted into a CSV file. And in this video, I'll show you how to combine these two GPTs to scrape data and download it. So let's get started. Alright, so I mentioned before, in this video, we're going to use GPT Mentions, which is a feature that OpenAI introduced in the past months. And this feature allows us to connect different GPTs. And in this video, we're going to use two GPTs. And these are Scraper and Data Analysis. And to do this, first we're going to install it. So we go here, we open the sidebar, and then we go to Explore GPTs. Here, as you can see, I have installed it already, but you have to click on Explore GPT, and then you have to search these two GPTs. So first you type Data Analyst. As you can see here, I have it already. Data Analyst, and you're going to see this GPT. This GPT is made by ChatGPT, and the second is Scraper. And if you already watched some of my previous videos, you already know this GPT. This GPT used to be a plugin that allows us to scrape websites just with a link. And now this is a GPT, and if we connect it with another GPT, in this case Data Analysis, we're going to be able to download the data that Scraper is going to extract from websites. So now let's connect these two GPTs. And to do this, first you have to click on the name of the GPT and then start chat. And then you have to type anything. You have to interact with the GPT. You can type hi or anything and just press enter to save the GPT. Once the GPT is saved, it's going to be here on the sidebar. It's going to be here. As you can see, it's here. I have these two GPTs that we installed, which is Data Analyst and Scraper. Once you have this, you start a new chat from scratch. So here, I'm going to start a new chat from scratch. Here is GPT-4. And now we have to mention the GPT that we're going to work with. Since we want to extract data from websites, I'm going to use Scraper. So here I type add and then the name of the GPT. In this case, is Scraper. So here I type Scraper and is this one. Now we need to provide the link of the website that we want to extract. And in this tutorial, we're going to use this website, which is Audible. Here we have data of audiobooks. And as you can see here, we have different audiobooks. We have the name of the audiobook, the length, and the name of the author and other information. So here I'm going to just copy the link and then I'm going to paste it here. And the cool thing about Scraper is that we can scrape data from multiple pages. So here, as you can see, there are 5 pages and I can extract the data from these 5 pages in just one prompt. And I'm going to show you how to do it. So here, as you can see, I have the link, and well, this is a lot of text, and I can just simplify this by deleting this information that is highlighted is not necessary, and I just need this. So here I have page 1, and I can also add page 2 by just typing page equal to 2. And if you want the 5 pages, you just type page equal to 3, 4, and 5. Now I'm going to show you the prompt that I'm going to use for this example, and is this one. So here I'm telling ChatGPT to extract data from this website, and I'm specifying that the first is page 1 and the second is page 2. And then I'm telling that I want the table with the name of the book, the author, and the length. And with this, I'm using a Scraper to extract data from multiple pages. And by the way, you can also use the Scraper plugin, which is this one. So you go here, you activate plugins, and then you go to you turn on Scraper, which is also a plugin. This is working either with a GPT Scraper or with a plugin Scraper. So here I'm going to use the plugin Scraper, and it's going to be exactly the same. So here I'm going to just close this one. I'm using a Scraper. I'm going to press enter, and I'm going to extract all the data from this website. Alright, Scraper extracted 40 audiobooks from the page, and I can verify that this is the whole data, because in one page there are 20 audiobooks and in 2 pages there are 40 audiobooks. So all the data was extracted, and we have the name of the book, author, and length. So now in the past we couldn't export this table when we had the Scraper plugin, because it doesn't allow you to export it. But now, using GPT mentions, we can use the data analysis plugin to export this table into a CSV file. So here I type add again, and then I'm going to type data analysis. And as you can see, it's the first GPT. And now that I have this GPT enabled, I'm going to type export this table as a CSV file and give me the link. So I press enter, and we're going to get the link to download this table as a CSV file. Alright, I got this message, and here's the link. So now I press on download, and here you can see I have this Audible _ bestsellers. So here I double click on it, and I'm going to open this CSV file on Excel. And as you can see, here's the file, here is the data, name of the author, the book, and the length. And now you can take this to the next level by using this prompt and extracting the data from the 5 pages. So here you should add 3 links more, and all the data will be extracted. Alright, now let's see another example. And in this case, I'm going to extract data from another website, and I'm going to use this data for a data analysis project that I'm going to do in coming videos. Here's the data that I'm going to extract. Is data about football matches in the FIFA World Cup, and all the data that we want to extract is inside these tables that you can see here. And this is much simpler than the previous website. I just want to give you another example, and now let's do the same steps. So you go to GPT-4 or you turn on the Scraper plugin. You can do one or the other, and then what you're going to do is call the Scraper GPT in case you're in GPT-4, and then type the following prompt. So here I'm just going to copy and paste the prompt I created before, and here I'm saying extract the football matches in this page. This is the page I showed you before, and I want the table with the home team, away team, and final score. So basically home team, away team, and then the final score, which is here. So all the information is in the match column. You can extract also information from other columns, but I'm just simplifying this. And then that's everything. And here I'm going to press enter and extract all this data. And here it's telling me that it only extracted data from the group stage table, which is the table in blue, as you can see here. And I'm going to tell it to extract data from the remaining tables. Alright, now it's time to call the data Analysts GPT to export all this data into a CSV file. And here I got the link to download all the data that we extracted using the Scraper GPT. Pandas AI is a Python library that integrates artificial intelligence capabilities into Pandas, making data frames conversational. This means that you can talk with your data frame and get answers quickly by only giving simple prompts. And you can even automatically generate plots with prompts. And in this video, I'll show you how to work with Pandas AI. So let's get started. Okay, here I have a Jupyter notebook of a Pandas AI demo that you can get from the official GitHub repository. And well, here you can see how to get started with Pandas AI, and you can see some simple examples. But I'm not going to use this one. I'm going to use a real dataset that I was working in another tutorial. And this dataset is going to help us see the strong points and the weak points of this library, because this library is currently not perfect. It has some issues, and we'll see how this library works. So I use this template to get started with this tutorial. I copied some lines of code and I pasted it in my Jupyter notebook. Here first we have to install Pandas AI. So I'm going to run this one. I already have this library, so I'm going to continue with the next step. And this is the template we have to use to start with Pandas AI. First, we have to import Pandas, then we have to import Pandas AI, and then we have to import OpenAI. And this is because I'm going to use the OpenAI API key to work with Pandas AI. So we have to use these three libraries, and then I'm going to use this data frame that has some sales data from a supermarket, and I'm going to choose these three columns. So I'm going to quickly show you how this data frame looks. And here's the data frame. We have three columns: gender, product line, and the total. So basically this shows how much female and male spend on each product line. And this is the data set we're going to work with. Okay, now to continue with this tutorial, then we have to get our OpenAI API key. And this one we get from the OpenAI website. And well, we have to go to this website, which I'm going to leave on the description. And we have to click on View API Keys. And here we have to create a new secret key. Then we have to instantiate an OpenAI object. And well, this is going to be the LLM and also a Pandas AI object. And here we're using the LLM from OpenAI. So we have our Pandas AI object. And with this, we can start talking with our data frame. So I'm going to run this, and now I'm going to use the Pandas AI object. So here I write pandas_AI, and then I'm going to use that run. And the first argument we have to pass is df, and the second is the prompt parameter. So I write prompt, and here we have to write any query we have. For example, let's see the data frame again. Here's a data frame, and now let's ask Pandas AI which unique products are in the product line column. So the only thing we have to do is go here in the prompt and type our question. So here I write which products are in product line. So product line is my column, and I want to see the unique products. So if I run this, we should get our answer as if we were working with ChatGPT. So let's give it a second, and we have the answer. So the product line includes this product, this other product, and well, we get all the products. And to verify this is correct, I'm going to use that unique function and see which columns are here. So we see that health and beauty is here, electronic accessories, and the rest of the products. So this is correct. We got the correct answer, and we got this only by asking a simple question. And now let's continue by asking a more complex questions to see the capabilities of Pandas AI. So in this case, I'm going to use again the run function and pass in the df data frame I have. And in the prompt, I'm going to ask Pandas AI, for example, I want to calculate the total spent by each gender. So as you might remember, we have this data frame, and I want to see how much female and male spent in total. So if I want to know this, with Pandas AI, we can ask a simple question like, calculate the total spent by each gender. So this is our prompt, and now I'm going to run this, and now we have the answer. We got the total spent by females and the total spent by males. And if you use the group by and the sum function, you can see that this answer is correct. But the thing is, when I tried to make a plot using Pandas AI, I didn't get this right answer. So to show you this much better, I'm going to ask Pandas AI to make a plot with this data. And here's my prompt. So it's plot a bar plot that shows the total spent by each gender. And in this case, the question is basically similar to the previous one. We already know the amount spent by each gender, but now we want to see it in a bar plot. And it should get it right, but in previous test I did, it didn't get it right. Let's see if now we get the right answer. And here we have the bar plot. So here, as you can see, we have female and male, and we have the title total spent by gender. And in the male, we get a value close to this amount, 155. But for female, we get a value close to 600, which is inaccurate because here is 167. And well, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, Pandas AI could get these amounts right, but at the moment that we asked to make a bar plot, it didn't get it right. The amounts are not correct. And the previous test I did, I found that if you give Pandas AI the data frame with the calculation already made, it can give you the right answer. But if it has to make the calculation on its own and then make the plot, it doesn't get the answer right. And I'm going to show you what I'm talking about in the next example, where we're going to make a pivot table using Pandas AI. Okay, in the next example, I'm going to try to create a pivot table with the following prompt. Calculate the total spent on each product line by both the male and female gender. So with this, I'm trying to generate a pivot table that shows how much both male and female spend on each product line. And I'm going to run this and see the results. And well, Pandas AI gave us the answer, but it gave us in a form of a text, and we didn't get the actual pivot table, which isn't bad. But if we want to keep working with the data, we need a pivot table. For example, I was planning to make a bar plot with a pivot table, but if I get only this text, I won't be able to do this. So this is one of the drawbacks of Pandas AI. It's more for talking with a data frame, but when it comes to generating something like a pivot table or a plot, it doesn't always get it right, or it doesn't get the result you expect. But anyway, Pandas AI still got the numbers right. And to verify this, I use the pivot table function, and with this I can get the pivot table that I was expecting to get. And we see that this 33,170 is correct, it's here. And with this we can verify that the numbers are right, but we actually didn't get a pivot table. But something cool you can do is use this data frame, this pivot table data frame that I created manually, to generate a plot. Because as I mentioned before, if you give Pandas AI a data frame that is already processed, this data frame actually has the pivot table I was looking for, Pandas AI can generate the plot. And to show you this much better, I'm going to use again the Pandas AI object. But in this case, I'm not gonna pass in the df that we used before, not this one, not this df that we started working with, but the pivot table, which is another data frame that we created that only contains the pivot table that we wanted. And then I write prompt, and here I'm gonna ask Pandas AI to make a bar plot that shows how much money each gender spends on each product line. So now if I run this, we should get the bar plot with the values we wanted. And here's the bar plot. In this case, the female and male bars are divided. And we see, for example, that for female, we have a peak in 33 approximately, and the lowest point is in 17. And if we go to our pivot table, we see that this data is right. And well, we can verify that again, Pandas AI can automatically generate your plot if you give the data frame with the data already processed. And well, with this we can say that Pandas AI is a good tool to use together with Pandas, but it's not a replacement for Pandas because it sometimes makes some mistakes and you still need to know how to write code to guide Pandas AI. Today I found a cool extension called Jupyter AI that adds a nice chat user interface to Jupyter Lab to ask about something in your notebook, adds magic commands to send prompts to AI models like ChatGPT, and even generates entire notebooks from a text prompt. This extension has increased my productivity when doing data analysis, and in this video I'll show you how to set it up and everything you can do with Jupyter AI. So let's get started. Alright, the first thing we're going to do is go to the documentation that I'm going to leave on the description, and here we're going to copy some code to install Jupyter AI, and you can install it with Conda or with pip. But if you're a Mac user who has the M1 or M2 Mac, I strongly recommend you to install it with Conda. So I have an M1 Mac and I'm going to install it with Conda, copying this code. So I'm going to copy this code and I'm gonna open up a terminal to do this. So first I'm gonna install, by the way, you need Python 3.10 or 3.8 to have this Jupyter AI. And also you need Jupyter Lab 3 because it doesn't support Jupyter Lab 4. So here I'm gonna run this. And with this I created a virtual environment with Python 3.10. Then what I have to do is activate this virtual environment. So I copy this code and I paste it here. And with this I have this virtual environment activated, and then I have to install Jupyter AI. So I installed Jupyter AI, and with this we're done. If you are using pip to do the installation, you only have to copy this pip install Jupyter AI, and you can also only install Jupyter AI magics. Alright, the installation is done, and an extra step that Mac users with the M1 and M2 Mac have to do is uninstall this grp CIO and also install it but with Conda. So I'm gonna copy and paste it. This is just one step extra we have to do. Okay, now that the installation is finished, I'm going to launch Jupyter Lab. So I just have to write Jupyter Lab and then Jupyter Lab is gonna be launched. So I'm just gonna wait a couple of seconds and we should see a new icon, and that's the chat icon. And that's the chat interface that we install with this extension. And as you can see, I have this new icon, this new section on the left panel, and this is the chat icon. So here I can set up. Here you shouldn't see this, but since I have this installed previously, I already have GPT 3.5 and I already selected this option. And also I introduced my OpenAI API key. So here you have to copy your OpenAI API key and paste it here. I'm gonna leave also in the description a link to generate a new API key in case you need one. So now that this is done, you can click on Save Changes and then click on the back arrow. So here I click on back, and here you can write anything you want. For example, I can write hello world and then press Shift plus Enter to start interacting with this Jupyter node. That is the name of this bot. And by the way, remember that you need to have some credits to use this OpenAI API key. Otherwise, it's not going to work. Okay, later we're going to explore this chat interface in more detail, but right now I want to show you what we can do in a notebook. So I'm going to open up a new notebook. And the first thing we're going to do is load the extension that we just installed. So here I'm going to load the extension Jupyter_AI, and this is what we just installed. So we should get this message, it's fine. And the next thing we're going to do is list all the AI models that are available. So all the providers and all the AI models. So here we only have to write this AI and then list and then run this. So here I'm going to zoom out so we can see all the providers and all the models. So here, as you can see, there are many providers. It's not only OpenAI, and there are also many models. And one model we can use is ChatGPT. So what we have to do is, first, if we want to use one of the OpenAI models, we need to install the OpenAI package. So what we have to do is go here and write pip install OpenAI. So after we install this, we're going to be able to use the ChatGPT model and any model that is available on OpenAI, on the OpenAI package. So after we do this, we have to again introduce the OpenAI key, the API key that we had that we generated before. First, I'm going to delete this block, and here we have to do something like this. So we have to import OS and then insert in the environment variable our OpenAI API key. So here I pasted my API key, which by the way, I'm going to delete after recording this video because it's not safe to share your API key. And once we run this, we're going to be able to use the magic commands that I'm about to show you. So here, a cool thing you can do inside this notebook is use the magic commands. So we can do something like this, write double percentage sign and then write AI and then type the model that we want to use, in this case ChatGPT. So after this, you can simply insert a prompt, the same prompt that you will insert in ChatGPT. So here I can type this prompt, and this prompt says something like this: a function that computes the lowest common multiples of two integers, and a function that runs 5 test cases of the lowest common multiple function. So basically, we're gonna generate some code and we're gonna use the ChatGPT model for this. So here I run this and we should get those two functions. All right, we got the code that we asked for, and here is the code. So here is the lowest common multiple function and then the test case. So we have this because we introduced this prompt. And well, we generated this code. But as you can see, by default, the output of this AI command that we used is formatted as Markdown by default. But you can change the format of the output to code, Markdown, math, HTML, JSON, and text by using the F argument. And I'm going to show you how to do this. So first, I'm going to copy this prompt and I'm going to paste it below. So here I have this and I paste it. And now I can add the F argument that stands for format, and then I can specify which is the format that I want to get, in this case code. So I write code, and now instead of getting this markdown that we got before, because this is like the output is in markdown format, we're gonna get code format, and here it is. So here we run this and we got this message: AI generated code inserted below, and this is the code. So first we have the function, LCM, and then we have the test cases that we asked for. So this is basically the same, but now it's not in markdown format, but it's in code format, and that's even cooler. And as I mentioned before, code is not the only format that you can use. There are also the JSON format, the HTML format, and many others. Now I'm gonna test the math format, which adds those scientific formulas that you might have come across in the past. So here I'm using again the AI command and then the ChatGPT model, and in this case I'm using the math format. So I'm saying generate that 2D heat equation in LaTeX surrounded by those dollar signs, and I don't want to include an explanation but only the equation. So if I run this, we're gonna get those cool math formulas in this format. So this is the format I wanted, and I get this because I use the math format. All right, another cool thing you can do with the AI magic command is work with code located elsewhere in the Jupyter notebook. So far we've been working with just the prompts that are located in the same cell. So here, what we can do also is work with code that is located in another cell, so elsewhere in the Jupyter notebook. And to do this, I'm gonna just write a simple for loop here, and this for loop is gonna print the numbers from 1 to 9. So here is the for loop, and this for loop is located in this cell with the input 8, and well, it generates the output 8. And now if we want to get an explanation of the code inside cell with the input 8, what we can do is use again the AI command, the magic command, and now we can use the curly braces, and also a special keyword, in this case the int keyword that stands for input. So here I'm gonna paste this, and well, we use again AI ChatGPT, and then we say in this prompt, explain the code below. And here I write these curly braces that we need, and then the int, which is a special list, and there are other type of lists like the out list and also the ERR that stands for error, and that we're gonna see later. But now it's in 8, and this represents this cell. So if I say explain the code below, this is going to explain the code in this cell, so this for loop. So now I'm going to run this, and we should get an explanation of the code in cell with input 8. And as you can see, we got an explanation of what this code does. So we got that the code iterates through a sequence of numbers from 1 to 8 using the for loop and other things. So now what we can do is also use another special list, and in this case I'm gonna use the ERR that stands for error. So ERR, and in this case I'm gonna delete this colon, and I'm gonna generate this error, and just to get an explanation of this. So here we got this 10, number 10, this is the input, and here what we can do is write ERR and then 10. So now explain the error below, and the rest is the same. So now if I run this, we're gonna get an explanation of why we got that error. And as you can see, we got an explanation, and it says that there is a problem with the syntax of the for loop because there is a missing colon. So that's what we got, and it's what the reason why we got the error. And this is basically what you can do with the AI magic command. But in case you don't want to use this magic command, you can also use the chat on the left panel to get some similar functionality. For example, if you want to get the explanation of some code, for example, if I copy this code that we generated before, we can just copy, and then if you see here on the left panel, we have an option here below this box. We have an option that says include selection, and this include selection is going to help us include this portion that we copied or we actually selected on our prompt. So if I type now, what does this code do? Question mark. Now this selection is going to be included in the prompt. We don't need to paste it. So now if I press enter, we're going to get this selection here. So that's what the include selection does. If you want to include a portion of your notebook, you only have to select it, and it automatically is going to be included on your prompt. And now after some seconds, you're going to get the explanation of your code here in the chat interface. So here we see an explanation of the code, and now we got this by only chatting here on the left panel. So this is basically the same explanation that we will get with the AI magic command. But something you can only get with the chat interface is create a notebook from scratch. So you can create an entire notebook only in this chat interface. And to do this, you have to use the generate command. So you have to type generate, and then you have to indicate what you want to generate. In this case, I want to generate a demo of how to use the Pandas library. So after I press enter, you're gonna get this message that says that it's gonna take a few minutes to generate this whole notebook. All right, I just got my notebook generated, and well, I got this message, and what I'm gonna do is click on this folder icon, and here's my notebook. So this notebook is titled using pandas for data analysis and was generated automatically by ChatGPT. So here I'm gonna select the Python 3 kernel, and this is the notebook that was created from scratch. So we can see data exploration, data cleaning, manipulation, and all the things that you can do with the Pandas library. And well, this was created in just a few minutes. All right, to start working with the ChatGPT API, we have to go to our OpenAI account and create a new secret key. So first we have to go to this website that I'm going to leave the link on the description, and then we have to go to the view API keys option. And here what we have to do is create a new secret key in case you don't have one. So in this case I have one, and I'm going to copy the key I have, and then we can start working with the API. So now I'm going here to Jupyter Notebooks and we can start working with this API. And the first thing we have to do is install the OpenAI API. So ChatGPT, the API of ChatGPT or the endpoint is inside of this library and we have to install it. So we write pip install OpenAI and then we get, in my case, requirement already satisfied because I already have this library. But in your case, you're going to install this library. And then what we have to do is go to the documentation of ChatGPT API, which I'm going to leave in the description. And we have to copy the code snippet that is here. So you can copy from my GitHub that I'm going to leave also in the description, or you can go to the documentation. So this is going to be our starting point. And before you run this code, you have to make sure that here in this variable OpenAI.API_key, you type your secret key that we generated before. So you type here your key and well, you're good to go. And here's something important you need to know is that the main input is the messages parameter. So this one. And this messages parameter must be an array of message objects where each object has a role. You can see here, in this case, the role is the user. And also we have the content. And this content is basically the content of the message. Okay. There are three roles. There are, besides user, we have also the admin role and also the assistant role. And we're going to see that later. And now I'm going to test this with a simple message here in the content. Here I'm going to leave the role as user as it was by default. And here I'm going to change the content of the message. So I don't want to write hello, but I want to type this. So tell the world about the ChatGPT API in the style of a pirate. So if I run this, we can see that we're gonna get something similar that we'll get with ChatGPT. But before running this, I'm going to delete this quote, and now I'm going to run and we're gonna get a message similar to ChatGPT. So here we have a dictionary with two elements, the content and the role. And here I only want the content. This is the text that we're gonna get we will get if we were using ChatGPT. And if I write content, I'm gonna get only the content, so only the text. So here's the text. So this is an introduction to the ChatGPT API in the style of a pirate. And well, this is the message or the response. And if we go to the website to ChatGPT, we're gonna see that we're gonna get something similar. So if I go here and I go to ChatGPT and I write tell the world about the ChatGPT API in the style of a pirate, we can see we get this message in the style of a pirate. So we get this ahoy there and then all the things that a pirate will say. And we get here the same. So we get a similar message. So basically this response is what we will get with ChatGPT, but without all this fancy interface. So we're only getting the text. Okay, now to interact with this API as if we were working with ChatGPT, we can make some modifications to the code. For example, we can use the input function to interact with this API in a different way, as if we were working with ChatGPT, like in the website. So here I can use the input and I can write, for example, users. So we are the users and this is what we're going to ask ChatGPT. And this is gonna be my content. So here content, and instead of writing this, I'm going just to write content equal to content, and this is going to be the message that is going to change based on the input we insert. Then instead of just printing this message, I'm going to create a variable called chat_response, and this is going to be my response, but we're going to put it like in a ChatGPT style. So here I'm going to print this, and with this we can recognize which is the user request and which is that ChatGPT response. So let's try it out. Here I'm going to press Control Enter to run this. Okay, and here I'm going to type who was the first man on the moon. So if I press Enter, we get here the answer, and well, this is like in a ChatGPT style. We get an input where we can type any question or request we have, and then we get the answer by ChatGPT. And now let's see the roles that are going to change the way we interact with ChatGPT. Okay, now let's see the system role. The system role helps set the behavior of the system. And this is different from the user role because in the user role, we only give instructions to the assistant. But here in the system role, we can control how the assistant behaves. For example, here I added two different behaviors. And to do this, first we have to use the messages object. It is the same messages object we had before. This is the same that we had here. But in this case, this is for the system role. And here I added two just to show you different ways to use this role. But usually you only have only one behavior for the system, or sorry, for the assistant. And well, here in the first one, I'm saying you're a kind, helpful assistant. And well, in this case, we're telling the assistant to be as helpful as possible. And in the second one is something I came up with, and is something like you're a recruiter who asks tough interview questions. So for example, with this second role, we can interact with ChatGPT as if it was a job interview. So it's something like ChatGPT is going to be the recruiter who asks questions, and we're going to be the candidate who answers all the questions. So let's use this second content, and now let's include this system role in our code. So to do this, I'm going to copy the code I had before, and I'm going to paste it here. And as you can see, we have two messages variable, one with the system role and the other with the user role. And what I'm going to do is just append one list into the other. So to do this, I'm going to create or write messages that append, and then I'm going to put this dictionary inside my variable. So here I write append, and now I put this inside. And after doing this, I'm just have to delete this and write messages equal to messages. And with this, we have the system role and also the user role in our code. Now I only have to put this content equal to input at the beginning, and with this everything is ready. And now we can run this code. So first I'm going to run the messages here, the list I have, and then I'm going to run the code we had before, and here is asking me to insert something. So here I'm going to write just hi, and after this we're going to see that the behavior of ChatGPT change. So now it's telling us, hello, welcome to the interview. Are you ready to get started? And this happened because we changed the behavior of the assistant. Now the behavior is set to, you're a recruiter who asks tough interview questions. And well, here the conversation finished because this doesn't have a while loop, but here I'm going to add a while loop. So I'm going to write while true, and then I'm going to run again. So here I'm going to run again, and let's see how the conversation goes. So first I write hi, and then this is going to give me the answer that, well, welcome to the interview. And then can you tell me about a work-related challenge that you overcame? So here I can say, I had problems in public presentations, and I overcame it with practice. So I'm going to write this, and let's see how the conversation goes. And now it's asking me to add some specific actions I did to improve my presentation skills. So now you can see that ChatGPT is acting like a recruiter in a job interview. And this is thanks to this behavior we added in the system role. And well, now something that you need to know is that there is another role, which is the assistant role. And this role is very important. And it's important because sometimes here, for example, in this chat that is still on, if we write no, what we're gonna see is that ChatGPT is not able to remember the conversation we had. So it cannot read the previous responses. So here, for example, I typed no, and what we got is thanks for sharing that. And actually, I didn't share anything. I just wrote no. And well, it's telling me to continue with something else. But as you can see, ChatGPT is not able to remember what we said before. And if we add an assistant role, with this, we can make sure that we build a conversation history where ChatGPT is able to remember the previous responses. So now let's do this. Let's create an assistant role. Okay, as I mentioned before, the system role is used to store prior responses. So by storing prior responses, we can build a conversation history that will come in handy when user instructions refer to prior messages. So here, to create this assistant role, we have to create again this dictionary, and then in the role we have to type assistant, as you can see here, and then in the content we have to introduce the chat response. And to understand this much better, I'm going to copy the previous code and I'm going to paste it here. So here the chat response is this one, this chat response that has the content of the response given by ChatGPT. So here I'm going to copy this code and I'm going to paste it here. And what I'm going to do here to include this assistant role is to append this into the messages list. So here I'm going to write messages that append and then the parentheses. And with this we integrated the assistant role to our little script. And here, for you to see the big picture of all of this, I'm going to copy also the system role, and well, it's here, the system role. I'm going to delete this first line of code, and well, this is the big picture. So we have the system role, this sets the behavior of the assistant, then we have the user, which sets the instructions, and finally we have the assistant, who stores all the responses. And with this we can have a proper conversation with ChatGPT. Here, before I run this code, I'm going to customize a little bit more the behavior of the assistant in the system role, and here I'm going to type this. So it's basically the same, but here I'm adding, you ask one question or one new question after my response. So to simulate a job interview. And well, now that this is ready, here I'm going to make sure that everything is right, and well, everything is perfect now. So here I'm going to run these two blocks, and then I'm going to type hi, so we can start with the interview. So are you ready for the interview? Yes. So here it's going to ask me a question. Let's get started. Can you tell me about your previous work experience? And well, I worked at Google, I'm going to say. And well, now it tells me, that's great. Can you tell me your role and responsibilities? And I can say, I was a software engineer. And well, now the conversation is gonna keep going, and ChatGPT is going to ask me more and more questions. And in this case, it remembers the previous responses I gave. So for example, I said I worked at Google, and here it's telling me the responsibilities I had at Google. And in the next response is also mentioning Google again. And I think if I mention the project that is asking here, for example, if I write, I had a credit card fraud detection project and I overcame it with teamwork, I don't know, something like this, then it's going to ask me about this project. So now it mentions teamwork, which I said in my previous response, and now is asking me more about this project. So with this we can see that our assistant is storing our previous responses, and with this we're building a conversation history that keeps the conversation going without losing quality in the responses. And that's pretty much it. Those are the three modes that you have to know to work with the ChatGPT API. Hey, thanks for watching this video. Don't forget to give it a like and subscribe to this channel for more content like this. That's it for this video. I'll see you on the next one.